Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Hell That Is My Life. Today, I'm going to be ranking every single anime that I've ever seen. I think I got them all on here. So this is an app on GitHub. This is an app I found. There was like an official page for it, which is this one. But as you can see, this one is broken. There is a saved version on the Wayback Machine, and that one is almost not broken. However, thankfully, the code is on GitHub. You can just download it, run it with Node, and it seems to just work. So that's what I've got here. You just give it your AniList username, and it plugs it all in and makes this beautiful, ugly tier list with the non-standard color scheme on the left there, as you can see. That's fine. And we're going to get into it all in just a moment. Nobody showed up yet, which is fine because I don't care. I haven't actually talked about anime on this channel, have I? Yeah. Yeah, I haven't. Well, this is gonna be it then. Um, if you think anime is just the cringiest thing ever, then you probably shouldn't watch my videos. I've definitely referenced anime related things before. It's just never quite come up, I guess. This is this is part of the arc, trust me. This is it's all part of the arc. I've been planning this foreshadowing for years, guys. It's all just according to Keikaku. So let's actually get into it. I'm gonna start by saying that I did not like put this tier list together in order. I was planning on actually like having a whole big list at like a base at the bottom, like how Tier Maker works, where you've got all of the things and you like drag them up. But as you can see, dragging does not work here. This is just statically generated uh, from my uh, my AniList. It's not my anime list. I don't use that website. I use AniList, which is like the other one, which apparently the API is friendlier and stuff. I don't really know. I don't really care. It's just whatever. Um, so yeah, I'm a little bit dubious of the way that they actually do. Like D tier here. First of all, these shows that I put in C tier aren't that much better than the shows that I put in D tier. Okay, it's weird, like, right? Because like I rate each of these out of 100. Well, I was rating them out of 100, but then the app I started using, Psycho, no link because piracy. Respect the pirates. They do. They only do like out of 10, but you can use but you can have one decimal place. So like, for example, Steins Gate I rated like a 98, but uh, Kaguya season 3 I rated a 9.9, and those are the same numerically, but like a 9.9 is way higher than 98%, if that makes any sense. It probably doesn't. That's fine. Wait, this. Okay, that's. Um, and yeah, I feel very nervous about this because anime is embarrassing and cringe and stuff. But let's just get right into it. Which side should I even start from? I could jump around. I'll talk about things that I don't like first, and that way, things that I do like, I can just kind of gush about later, I guess. All right, so in D tier, the absolute worst, the least good, we have Chaos Head. Now, Chaos Head is part of the same series as Steins Gate, and it came out before, and it's based on a visual novel, as Steins Gate is as well. The Chaos Head visual novel is apparently really, really good, but the anime is universally agreed upon to suck. Um, I watched the anime having not read the visual novel. I don't really intend to because the anime spoils it without giving you the actual good experience apparently. So, oh well. Um, all I can say is, yeah, Chaos Head was just kind of fine. Um, I rated it low enough to put it. I rated it a 6 point something, enough to put it in D tier. But it's like not. It's not actually bad. It's just confusing and comes off a bit pretentious and generally kind of mid. Also, the main character sucks and I hate him. He's a delusional idiot pervert, and um, I am very glad that he gets brutally. What even happens in this anime? Yeah, basically all of the girls, like brutally attack him, and eventually he like wises up, and it somehow turns out that like he isn't real, and there's like a smarter version of him, who was disabled that he switched places with, because of something. It's like, just saying that might have spoiled it, but I don't know because it didn't make enough sense. The anime didn't make enough sense to even be spoiled by telling you what happens, right? It was just a weird show, man, and not in like in a this had potential, and there was probably a good story in there somewhere kind of way. Welcome one. I'm sorry. Um, Next up is Chaos Child, which was a sequel to Chaos Head. I don't know if it came out before or after Steins Gate, but Chaos Child is sort of similar to Chaos Head. The main character is a bit smarter, which I like. The generally the I thought this anime was more compelling, um, but it was also just kind of didn't make sense. Again, when you have something really good and you adapt it badly, it runs the risk of coming off as pretentious, which this definitely does. Um, I don't really have that much more to say about Chaos Child. I mean, like, watch it if you want. Don't watch it if you don't want to. Um, yeah. I'd say if you can invest like hundreds of hours and want to figure out how to deal with money and translations and everything, go play the visual novel. But also, like, ain't nobody got time for that. Next up, top of D tier is 86 Part 2. Now, 86 Part 2, I actually somehow 86 Part 1 ended up in C tier, and I think that's because uh, 86 Part 1 was just like barely okay, and I just didn't like 86 Part 2. Let me. Okay, I know people really like this show. People love 86. People, oh, 86 was the coolest thing ever, man. It's like Mecha in the year 2022, man. That's like so cool. But here's the thing though. It's not. It's like, it's like okay, I'm going to be honest here. 86 is just like botched half-baked Attack on Titan. To actually like go through and compare similarities would be to spoil both shows. I mean, there's nothing like worth spoilering about 86 because it's not even that. Like, if I tell you what happens, you just don't need to watch the show anymore. That's the kind of spoilers I mean. I don't like the term spoiler. I never really did, but now I'm using it a ton. Oh well. Yeah, I'd say like for these shows, for Chaos Head and Chaos Child, to tell you what happens is to spoil the mystery because the art of the storytelling is in the revelation of the mystery. But 86, you know what's going on, and each twist that happens is like, okay, but what does this actually change? Like, basically nothing. I mean, it's just. I'm not a super big fan of the tone, but like, I wasn't a super big fan of the tone of Attack on Titan either, and that worked. So, like, why doesn't 86 work? Well, 86 doesn't work, in my opinion, because it's just so on the nose. It's like the racists are cartoon racists. The evil, the zombie ghost brother is like a cartoonishly evil zombie ghost brother, and they do that same thing twice. Like the second season is literally just like, oh yeah, you thought the main characters got massacred at the end of the first season? Well, psych, they actually survived. There is a civilization outside the walls who took them in, and they survived, and now they're going to do all of the same things again, but but whatever. Who even cares? The main character is not even in half of the episodes of 86 Part 2. That's how off the rails that's how far off of the track it goes, and not in a good way. Some shows are absolutely batshit insane in amazing ways, but this is just like not that. It's just not that. Um, Next, A Heavenly Delusion. This came out last season. Now, and I watched it quite recently. I have a couple things to say about Heavenly Delusion. I do think you should watch it, but like be prepared for some serious. I think it's the sort of thing that everyone should watch just to know what I'm talking about. But like, Heavenly Delusion is it's I think it's like it's hard to describe. It promises a lot, and it doesn't really all pay off. Um, there's like two parallel plot lines, and every episode has some from both plot lines, and you think that they're going to come together, and I'm gonna let you in on a little secret. They don't. They don't actually come together at the end. They almost do, kind of, maybe, but they don't. They bait you up right to the last minute, like, hey, these things are going to intersect, and then they just don't. They just never do. It's amazing how they don't intersect the plot lines. Um, the uh, the sheltered children plot was pretty good for a sheltered children plot. It was what Darling in the Franxx should have been, in my opinion, for like a sheltered children plot. Um, However, the it was like sort of going for a Promised Neverland um, premise with Darling in the Franxx atmosphere, um, and it did that pretty well. The other half was like apocalypse survivors and fighting man-eating monsters with mysterious powers, and that was also like pretty decent, like just as a show. I do think it suffered a little bit from combining those plots, and like there's a whole bunch of mysteries that just never get resolved. Like honestly, I think they're sequel baiting. I think there's supposed to be another season of this that comes out, and if there is, I will watch it, but like the first season cannot stand on its own. That is my humble opinion. Or that is my objective opinion, damn it. The first season just cannot stand on its own. And what else do I have to say about that? Um, oh yeah, also um, there's some gender stuff there. Some of it works better than other stuff, but like generally, I'm I'm very on it. Like there could have been some. It could have had some interesting things to say, and it got kind of close, and then it just didn't say that. It just didn't. Also, like the yeah. To go any further would be to tell you what happens, and I'm not prepared to tell you what happens, but just the ending, or like the last two episodes, is like it's a punch in the gut emotionally, and um, I don't know that this show quite earned that. All right, next up in C tier, my second lowest pick for C tier is Higurashi Rei. Now, this is the epilogue, like after Higurashi, and it's 5 episodes. There is there is one standalone, and then was like one standalone OVA, and then there's an arc, and then there's another episode that I don't even remember what happens. Um, the standalone like the first episode, this is it's a 5 episode like mini series. Let's pull it up on AniList here. And it's like, honestly, it's like it's like lazy Steins Gate Zero. It's like if you took Steins Gate Zero. Wait, no, 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 no. What am I even saying? It's the opposite of that. Think of the premise of Steins Gate Zero. It is the complete. It is the reverse of that. You know what it's like? It's like the Steins Gate movie, which I don't know if I even have on this list. I hope I do, because it was an anime kind of, and I watched it definitely. Um, we'll get to it when we get to it, when I talk about Steins Gate. Overall, Higurashi is great. It's just this follow up doesn't need to exist, and I'm not watching any of the future follow ups or remakes. I've heard they're not as good. I've heard that the only thing you needed to watch is the original 2 seasons of the anime. So I'd say that. Watch the sub, not dub. I've heard the dub is bad. The sub is pretty good. Great show. It's basically like all yanderes, which is great. Super interesting mystery, and the foreshadowing is perfect. Yuki-chan. Wait, is this just the plain Yuki-chan? Yes, it is. Okay. So Yuki-chan is the spin-off. It's a Haruhi spin-off. If you haven't heard of Haruhi, we'll get to it. Basically, there is an alternate timeline. There is supposed to be there's like a time loop. Redo of Healer. I'm not sure if I put it on here or not. I have watched it. We'll get to it. Redo of Healer gets a. I'm jumping ahead a little bit. Redo of Healer, I would probably put in mid to low B tier, if not low A tier. The way that this automatic tier maker thing has like formatted my anime list, because merely because it was at least interesting and things kept happening, and all of these characters suck and you want to see them punished. That is my reasoning for rating Redo of Healer above rock bottom, honestly. Yuki-chan it's a stupid spin-off slice of life romance. It's not good. It's aggressively mid. The characters, there's a certain type of show where the characters carry the show. This is the opposite of that. The world carries the show. The characters are barely survive. They don't quite makes like it's literally just like, you wanted some more Haruhi, here you go, we shout out some more Haruhi. That's all it is. And it's not even good Haruhi. It's just like Okay, next we have Haruhi-chan, which is like which is also a Haruhi spin-off. It's like a mini series. I rated this one lower because there's not that much of it, and it doesn't add all that much, but it's fun. You should watch it if you've seen Haruhi. The episodes are like 4 minutes each, and there's like 30 of them. It's a fun little anthology of random things that are happening just off screen. That's all. And now we come to an actual show again, finally. This one came out a couple seasons ago. And it's called The Magical Revolution of the Reincarnated Princess and Genius Young Lady, or something. I believe that's what that says. I'm almost certain that's what that says. That's absolutely what that says. That is precisely what that says. Um, and this show this show is just pure Yuri bait. Okay, it's not like for a show about magic. The magic sucked. It didn't make any sense. There was no underlying logic. Disappointed. For a show about changing the status quo by the power of science, it was bad. Like it didn't even it just there wasn't any of that there. There was like 2 seconds of it total. Um, for a show about gay girls, it wasn't anything. It's just like nothing even happened. There were like two times I thought, oh hey, something might happen, and then it just doesn't. Um, I wanted to like this show. I thought, hey, this could be pretty cool. The characters seem like they could be interesting, and um, hang on, can I? Yeah, I can do that. All right. Thought, hey, the characters seem interesting, and this could be good. And I am disappointed that this was not the case. It got my hopes up, and that is the greatest crime of all. Onimai. I put this one in C tier um, because again, it was kind of a nothing. Like I was expecting better. I was expecting something more than just Dragon Maid, but oh, he used to be a guy. Like what was the point of this show? Literally, straight up. Um, very intriguing premise, but it just didn't land. Like it lands a little bit in the final episode, but like they string you along with the most mundane, boring shit you could possibly imagine. There's just like middle school drama and the haha, I forgot how small my body is, so I drank too much water and now I have to pee jokes, which are just so dumb. Okay. Um, that's all I have to say about Onimai. Disappointed. Classroom of the Elite 2. Um, I enjoyed Classroom of the Elite 1, but in Season 2, the cracks really start to show. Um, nothing that nothing that happens in the second season was really being set up in the first season. Things just kind of happen, and it's like the oh, but I outsmarted, you're outsmarting type of stuff. Um, I feel like Mother's Basement really kind of cracked that one open. Um, it's just a thing that exists and you can like it if you want, but I don't understand. The thing is, like, I don't know when a show is bad unless it just disgusts me or I'm just bored by it. Like, there is a very low bar of quality that you have to reach for me to enjoy something, and the first season exceeded that bar, so I rated it a 10 out of 10 originally. The second season did not raise that bar, so I rated it like a 5. That's that's where we are. Classroom of the Elite season 2, not very good in my humble opinion. Maybe the novels are better. I don't know. Maybe the third season will be better. I don't know. Um, but just what even was this? What even is this show? Is this is like this is just straight up a power fantasy. It's like, oh yeah, there's this quiet kid and he's really he's just so smart, guys. He's just the smartest guy ever, and he knows all of the plans that everyone is going to do, and he is manipulating all of the women behind the scenes, and it's great. But it's not. It just doesn't work. And like when you actually look at the things that happen, they stop making sense, and that's disappointing. All right, moving on. Dress Up Darling. Waifu bait, pure waifu bait. I've heard that nothing keeps happening. Um, that's all I have to say. C tier. I almost didn't watch this show, and I'm not watching other shows that were praised for the same reasons that this one was anymore. Isekai Quartet 1 and 2. Um, these are little like crossover parodies of like ReZero and Overlord and Konosuba and stuff. They're decent little things. They're not too serious. Um, if you've seen some of the shows that the characters are from, you'll enjoy it, but not enough to rate it any higher than C tier. That's all I have to say. It's not that there was anything bad it did. It's just wasn't good enough to raise itself up from the slop. Although for some reason it's higher than Haruhi-chan. I'm not sure how that happened. Oh wait, I am, because there was more of it, and it was more amusing, and there were like actual plot lines almost. Okay, Dr. Stone and Dr. Stone Season 2. I think Stone Wars was Season 2. It better have been. Yeah, it was. I haven't watched Dr. Stone Season 3 or 4? Is there 4 now? 4's coming out this season, isn't it? Anyway, I haven't watched Dr. Stone past Season 2, because it's just... Here's the thing. Dr. Stone Season 1 was entertaining because of the science and because of the character conflict. The science was a little bit simplified, but pretty realistic. The character conflict was... It was like a pure ideological divide, and both like heads of faction were like absolutely doing their all with the power that their ideology gives them. And that was great. That is just peak shonen right there. Dr. Stone Season 2, by trying to deliver on that, by trying to follow it up, by trying to end that arc, ruins everything. And it makes it plainly clear that I am not the kind of person who should be taking this show seriously. Because Dr. Stone is a kid's show. It's science propaganda for children. And if you wanted anything more from it, the final like 7 episodes of Season 2 will absolutely ruin that for you, which is what it did for me. I'm going to spoil Dr. Stone now. Dr. Stone Season 2. The main villain, like, his henchman tries to, like, oust him from power, and so he joins the good guys, and then it turns out, oh, he was just doing all of this for his sister, and so it's actually fine that he murdered all of his people, and he didn't really murder them. He broke the statues, but he put them all back together by hand, so it's fine. He was actually a good guy this whole time, and Senkyu, the main character with the green hair here, he cryogenically freezes the bad guy to bring him back as a friend in like 2 or 3 more seasons once they figure out what the whole point of this, once they invent medicine. Like, what? What? I hesitate to overuse the phrase off the rails, but this show so much wasted potential. You had the perfect setup for just telling endless little science stories, and you had to actually go and change the status quo, and it just doesn't work, in my opinion. It just doesn't work at all. Next we have Darling in the Franxx. What do I even have to say about Darling in the Franxx? The ending didn't seem as out of the blue to me as a lot of people made it out to be on the discourse. It kind of works. like not pacing wise, but thematically, it kind of almost makes sense. Yeah, this was the first show I watched. This was the first anime I watched, rather, that I was like, wait, anime isn't always like perfect. Sometimes sometimes you can be really invested, but it will still bore you and disappoint you with the things that happen and the way in which they happen. Bless you. Thank you. I better be blessed. Um, I had COVID several weeks ago, and there's still some lingering effects. Apparently, that's what's going on here. Um, yeah. What else do I have to say about Darling in the Franxx? I don't have anything more to say about this show that wouldn't reveal things about myself that I'm not yet willing to divulge. So that's all I got to say about that. Um, at this point, you have to. It's female body. Yes. Well, there's a lot of that, um, and that's kind of the trap that anime falls into, because like when you sexualize the female body, it's very easy. You just look at it. But like when you sexualize the male body, you have to focus on other things, because those features aren't like a hot man is someone with a lot of muscles, and like muscles aren't inherently that, they're just off. Yeah, it was a bit well, it wasn't. There are a lot of shows that are like that a lot, but the thing that Darling in the Franxx did, went above and beyond that, in that like the central premise is that they're piloting these mechs, and the position that they do it, and it has to be two people of opposite gender piloting the mech, and it has to be in a very suggestive position, for the thing to work, and um, yeah, it's supposed to be like a metaphor for something or other, um, and it kind of works. If you're in the right headspace, it will make you feel things, but also like it's just kind of dumb, and the writing isn't all there. 86, I already talked about. Um, it's just not that great. Some people hype it up for some reason, but like no, it's not that good, guys. It's just not. That's all I got to say about 86. I talked about it before with 86 Part 2, which really dropped what little ball the 86 had going. Honestly, like 86 on its own, as like a confined story, is fine, but the fact that Part 2 exists, and especially just that the same things happen, and it really reveals that there was no plan. I don't think there was a plan. I'm sure there was a plan, but the if your plan is to just keep doing the same thing over and over with justification for it, and let the premise and the visuals carry you, you've failed. You failed as an artist, and you should be ashamed. Now we finally come to B tier. Um, these are shows that are either good but not great, or bad but in an interesting way. Um, we have, at the very bottom of B tier, Made in Abyss Season 2. Um, there are things that people say about Made in Abyss. I do not quite follow all of the things they say about them, about the show, but it is a valid point to bring up. Um, Made in Abyss Season 2 felt kind of slow, especially after the rush of Season 1 and the movie 3, which comes between Season 1 and Season 2, because movies 1 and 2 are a recap. I don't know, it's weird. Um, yeah, it was fine. It was. I'm excited to see where Made in Abyss goes next. I mean, other than down, because that's the entire premise of the show. But like, um, of Made in Abyss, Season 2 was the weakest IMO, which is, in my opinion, IMO. Mao Yu Mao Yusha, or uh, the Demon King and the hero. This felt like a first draft sketch, or like an extreme, like, summary condensed clip show of a very long epic. Um, and that didn't really work for it. It didn't do it any favors. The premise is that um, the hero has been battling the demon armies with his party for years and years, and he finally just gets fed up, uses his hero powers to just run very, very fast to the Demon King's castle, and he gets there, and she's a beautiful woman, and she actually doesn't want the war to keep going, and thinks that people and demons should live in peace because demons are just people with horns in this world. And so they try and work behind the scenes doing a bit of geopolitics and market manipulation in order to bring about a peaceful end to the war between their species. And that's a cool premise. It's got potential, but the potential is not realized, and the show isn't bad, it's just badly paced, and most of the things that happen don't have enough context for them. The characters are deep, we just don't get to see them. It's not even that they're two-dimensional, it's just not all there. Hopefully my criticism will be lessened as we go up and up the list. There are some doozies in B tier that I just have to complain about, though. Even in A tier, there are some that I have to complain about. Lycoris Recoil. This show was also Yuri bait, but I think their relationship works a little bit better. Also, the ending, just... As a member of the general population, I am offended by the way that they treat the opinion of the general population at the end of the show. Basically, there's these secret agents. It's Japan, so guns are illegal. So there's these secret agents, and there's this terrorist guy, and the terrorist guy wants people to rise up and use guns and stuff, and the terrorists have to, the secret agent girls have to, like, stop him. And so the terrorist guy plants a bunch of guns under, like, park benches and stuff, and he hijacks the broadcast, like the TV in Times Square and stuff, or the Japan equivalent of Times Square, and, like, tells everybody to, like, look under benches and pull out guns and stuff. Hey, like, everybody, here's a free gun, go commit some murders, kind of thing. Because he's a cartoon bad guy. And then the person, what do you call it? Yeah, they end up fixing this by saying that was all an elaborate production. This was a stage. This was a psyop. It wasn't real. You know that guy you were standing right next to who pulled out a gun? He was a plant. That gun wasn't real. The person he shot didn't die. Lycoris is pretty good. No. It was pretty good, except the ending was just... Like I said a moment ago, as a member of the general population, I am insulted by this travesty. Sorry, Joshua Angelo, I'm not going to give Lycoris Recoil any higher than a B tier, than a low B tier. Iruma-kun 3. Now, where are the other two seasons of Iruma-kun? Basically, this is like Harry Potter, but good. Iruma-kun 1 and 2 are in, like, high A tier, but season 3 is in low B tier because the pacing didn't really work. It was slow. There was only one arc that they were adapting for the whole thing, and I kept thinking, surely only so many things can happen in, like, these 3 days, because it's like 24 episodes in 3 days of story, and, like, yeah, a lot happens in them, but, like, You could have done that in 12 episodes and then used the other 12 for something more interesting. And I was just a bit disappointed that it didn't happen, and they just kept doing. They drilled in too deep into the source material, in my opinion. Also, the animation and stuff was bad, but like, it's Irumikun. That's part of the charm. It didn't quite work. Um, Spy X Family is an easy S tier. Where did I put Spy X Family? Um, I put Spy X Family A tier. I put part two in lowish A tier. I put part one in uh, I don't think it made it into, yeah. I have heard that the author of Spy X Family wrote it because, or like, he had the idea, let me make the most like wholesome bait anime premise ever. And then it sold really well, so it was like, okay, fine, I guess I'll keep making this thing. And that's just really disappointing because it feels like it has heart, but like when you know that the heart is just a black hole of cynicism, it takes away from it. Spy X Family is dumb fun, and that's all it is for me. I'm sorry. More Than a Married Couple, but Not Lovers. This came out this past last year before, late last year. Came out late last year, and I'm not really into romance shows. This was fine. The premise is pretty ridiculous, and it did that well. What are your SS tiers? Kaguya season 3, ReZero, and Steins Gate. Those are my S plus tiers, or my SS tiers. I have quite a bit in S tier, just because of the way that the thingy. This isn't actually. I didn't make this tier list. I like rated these things individually, and then used a program that puts them all together into a tier list. Kaguya S3 was, so yes, it was. I'm gonna keep working through this now. I don't know how to deal with chat. More Than a Married Couple, but Not Lovers. It was okay. Not quite my thing. Some of the moments were interesting. Some of the moments were not. I'm a little bit. I was a little bit disappointed. There were a lot of cliches, I think, but generally, it was a fine show. Just nothing special. Not quite anything special. Um, this show is called Oregaru for some reason. Oregaru. I'm not sure how you get. I'm not sure how you get Oregairu out of this name. It's also called like My Teen Romantic Comedy Snafu is like the super ultra over translated version. Um, the main character is like relatably misanthropic. That's fine. Um, some of the things that happen are reasonable. It's good. I've heard that future seasons go off the rails, and it wasn't really something that I was super invested in, so I didn't go through with it. There are other shows that kind of take the same-ish setting or similar characters and do more interesting things, in my opinion, with them. But like, it's like if all you want is pure character, it's like character-based drama and comedy, then this is the show for you. It's great at that. Well, love flops. Okay, we gotta talk about love flops very briefly. This show also came out last year, late last year, and it was utterly ridiculous, and over the top, like over sexual in every possible aspect, to the point of self parody. And then there was a twist, and it was like he was basically living in the Matrix. Haven't watched any good anime. Yeah, that's the thing. That is true. Tronald's dump in chat. I think I'm reading that. Sorry, my camera is like right in front of chat, so I like have to lean over to see it. Um, if you think anime is over sexualized, then Love Flops is definitely not the show for you. But it at least does something interesting with that premise, which is like the robots are trying to fall in love with them to be real people, and that's because that's like their prime directive, and that's at least interesting, right? I thought that was at least an interesting direction to take it. Next, Sword Dad anime. The Reincarnated as a Sword is the name of this anime. Um, Also known as Sword Dad because the main character basically becomes a father figure to this cat girl here. Um, I put it in lowish B tier because it feels like the training wheels are on. Like this is a world in which slavery exists. Um, and the main character is a literal sword, and his surrogate daughter is like extremely racially oppressed, and like since that's the case, like how come worse things aren't happening to them? Like how do things just work out for these characters so well when they should be so disenfranchised? It doesn't, I don't know, it feels like there's not like, maybe I'm just applying too much real world politics into it, but I don't quite understand how you could how this world works, and I might go read the source material eventually, but probably not. Dragon Maid. Dragon Maid is boring, and there are two different ways to over sexualize women in anime. There is the one where you have a male character who over sexualizes the women, and you just follow him and pretend like he's fine. And the other one is you just have no male characters, and the women sexualize each other, and then if there are male characters, then it's like super awkward and uncomfortable. And that's what Maid Dragon does. Um, there's uh, there's one particular relationship in it that's very sus, and I don't like it at all. And it's weird how like the show seems fine with it, and um, that's all I've got to say about that. Just generally a boring show. Not, I mean, like, I mostly watched it just because it was a thing I had heard of, and I didn't know what it was, and now I know what it is. Um, Call of the Night. Call of the Night was it was a thing. It was fine, I guess. Um, I don't know if I should be like explaining these premises more or not, but uh, I really just wanted to kind of give my thoughts. Things kept happening. There's a Conan reference, which is great. What else do I have to say about Call of the Night? I don't have anything to say about Call of the Night, really. Like, it was fine. It was an okay show. It's like sort of a romance uh, with vampires and stuff. And, like, what more what more do you need to know than the premise, really, honestly? If you'll know from the premise if it's for you or not. um, I watched it just cuz decently enjoyable. The art style is kind of unique. It works. There's a few other shows with that art style, and they also work. It's just kind of a different look. How Not to Summon a Demon Lord and How Not to Summon a Demon Lord Season 2. If you ever complain about sexualization in anime, this probably isn't the show for you. But none of it's like super problematic. It's basically just dumb fun. It's an isekai where the guy is like transported to a world that's very similar to this game he played where he was the demon lord, and he has all of his powers from that game for some reason. And so he just role plays as a demon lord and does stuff, and it's fine. It's like kind of lazy, and like as soon as you see a female character on screen, you can predict some of the things that are going to happen, but like it's not that bad. Honestly, it's like fine. That's my thoughts. All my thoughts on how not to summon a demon lord. Yeah. Log Horizon and Log Horizon Season 2 I have right next to each other. Apparently, people who saw the original Log Horizon when it was coming out really didn't like Season 2, and there was like a change in the animation style and maybe quality. But I don't notice those things unless they're very bad, so I didn't notice them. Um, Log Horizon is it's the good version of like everybody is trapped in an MMO and they have to survive as if it were real life because it is for them now. Whereas Sword Online is the bad version, or not bad, just less well executed. Log Horizon takes the concept a bit further. It delves more into like what would that actually mean. Um, the world building or like the system building of the world in Log Horizon is good in my opinion. I like it, um, and that's really what Log Horizon has going for it. The characters are I don't know. Um, we have a smart main character. Um, it's it is what it is. That's not very descriptive, but I don't really know what else to say. It's fine. Log Horizon, yeah. Log Horizon also has a season 3. I'm not sure where I put that. Maybe did I put Log Horizon season 3 higher? How did Log Horizon season 3 end up? No possible way I put Log Horizon. I don't know what I did with Log Horizon season 3. But it was a bit less good, but also a bit more good. Um, Tanya the Evil. Um, this one is great. It's this atheist who is fighting God, and he gets isekai'd, and he has to uh, he has to live as a general in like a magic based version of World War One. Um, and also he's a small girl because God just hates him. And it's great. Um, I mean, like it's okay. Either it's your thing or it's not your thing. Premise was good. Action was action. Characters were decent. Pacing was pretty good, I guess. There wasn't really quite a conclusion. I think the war ended, but like other than like, does that really count as a conclusion for the characters? I don't know. It was fine. It was good. Slime Diaries. This is a spin-off of That Time I Got Reincarnated as a Slime, and it is in mid B tier because nothing really happened in it. It's kind of character carried. It's carried by being a spin-off of That Time I Got Reincarnated as a Slime. Slime season 2 was pretty good, but Slime 1, Slime Diaries was a bit less so. Say watch it before season 2 because there is some foreshadowing that it sets up, which is good. However, none of that actually gets paid off within the show, so as it stands alone, actually, if it stood alone, I would put it lower. So it's up this high halfway because it is related to a better show. I've been killing slimes for 300 years and maxed out my level. This is like Dragon Maid, except with less awkward sexualization, and stuff actually happens, so it's just better in every way. If you think you don't like or in other words, cute girls doing cute things shows, I recommend you watch Slime 300 just in case, to see whether that's true or whether there just aren't any other good ones. This is because of the few that I've seen, this is by far the best, the most superiorist of them, because like it's not a slice of life. Things keep happening, the stakes keep escalating. There's like the fact that the main character is overpowered becomes a major driving force in the world, and she wants to live in a slice of life, but she can't because she's just too overpowered to exist in this world, and so things keep happening to her, and that's the source of comedy. Well, that and the characters, and like it's wholesome, it's sweet and fun and amusing, um, and that's all it really set out to do, and it did it perfectly. So I would put it higher, but this genre is just kind of limited. Next, your boy Kong Ming. This show had a lot of potential. It was a cool idea. The premise is that Kong Ming, the famous general from China, from Chinese history that you've never heard of, because we don't study Chinese history in America. We only study like Roman history instead. But Japanese people study this stuff, so they would know who Kong Ming is. Kong Ming, when he dies in history, gets reincarnated into present day Japan and becomes like becomes like a producer for this music girl. And it's like, I feel like they could have done more with that, but what we did get is pretty good. Her new Barbie was a good anime. Yeah, probably. I haven't seen it yet. Um, the whole meme is that you go watch Barbie and watch Oppenheimer. Um, I don't have anyone to go see either with, um, nor do I want to spend the money. So I'm just gonna wait until like they come up. Oppenheimer was better anime. Yeah, just knock yourselves out, presidents there in chat. We've got both presidents in chat. Both current presidents of the United States, depending who you ask. So that's great. Outbreak Company. Um, what do I even have to say about it? Outbreak Company. It's all right. Not super bad. Some of the things didn't make sense. The uh, the references were top notch. The sexualization was really not. Um, there's this idea of like cultural hegemony and takeover and stuff. The politics are like kind of, hey, that's fun and wacky on first blush, and then like if you think about it a bit more, it might actually be like really really bad in some way. But I don't really want to think about that much. It was an okay show. There's not going to be a second season. I don't really think about it all that much. Occultic 9. How is Occultic 9 so high on my list? It should be way down at at D tier here with Chaos Head. Occultic 9 is in the same series as Steins Gate and Chaos Head. It's basically, well, it's very weird. The the pacing is like very very frenetic, especially in the first couple episodes. Those first couple episodes are very hard to get through. There is a ton of characters, and you just have no idea what's going on. And then once it kind of stabilizes from that, and you kind of actually get a sense of what's even happening, it's it's pretty neat. The antagonists are just some generic Illuminati knockoffs, and their plan is to use Nikola Tesla's spirit lightning gun or something to destroy or to all become immortal ghosts. No, to make, I forget. Basically, minor spoilers, I guess. You're not gonna watch this show anyway. What the best way I can like convey my feelings on Occultic 9 is just by saying what happens. So here's what happens in Occultic 9. There's 9 main characters, and they're all dead already, but they don't know it. They're Moshinderu, you could say. Um, and they have to figure out what made them get killed, and how they can come back to life, and all of this other stuff. Like what is there's a whole bunch of mysteries, and there's some people who were trying to kill the ghosts of these people. There was like a big mass suicide where all of these people were hypnotized and drowned themselves, and it turns out that all of our main characters are already dead because they drowned in the mass hypnosis murder thing. And so there's a whole bunch of stuff with ghosts. There's some stuff with demons and spirits um, and other creepy shit. And they have to go. I keep saying they have to go as just like filler words. So many things end up taking place that just barely make sense, and it is a fun ride once you get past the initial freneticism. But still, Occultic 9 is B tier. Mushoku Tensei. Wait, this is really where I rated the original, not the season 2? Where did I put season 2 of Mushoku Tensei? Surely not all this high up. No possible way that I put Mushoku Tensei this high up. I refuse to believe that I put Mushoku Tensei this high up. Okay, I don't see it because I'm blind. That's fine. Oh boy, we gotta talk about Mushoku Tensei. I don't want to. Some people say it's very good. It's the best isekai of all time. It's the first isekai. It did all of the things that you think are cliche about it. It did them first, and so everything else that's copying it is actually what's cliche. Doesn't matter. You can do interesting things or boring things with any plot point, and Mushoku Tensei is just not that interesting. Like, I talked to one person who described it as just, yeah, random things happen. Random things keep happening. I'm not sure how true that is. I do know that part of the other point is that, like, the main character is supposed to improve. We're supposed to hate him at the beginning, and he's supposed to get better. He's supposed to learn from his mistakes and his proclivities and become like a good person. And I have heard of some of the things that happen much later in the story. I've been spoiled by 4chan, and that doesn't seem to happen. So Mushoku Tensei is just not that good. High production value, but kind of a random story, and a fake. We're being sold a fake arc, and in 10 years, when they finally get to the thing that I heard happen, everything is just going to completely melt down. People are going to be like, why did I ever defend this series? Like, it was clearly just bad from the very beginning. Alright. Next up, we have Magic Kaito 1412, The Phantom Thief. This show is, I watched it because it takes place in the same universe as Detective Conan, which probably isn't on here because I didn't finish it, because it's still going after 27 years. But Kaito did end. It's just like 26 episodes, and it's fine. There's this kid, and his father was a famous jewel thief, and his mother is a famous jewel thief. Um, and there's this girl at school who's a witch, like a literal, like with actual magic and shit. Um, and he has to take on the mantle of his father as the Phantom Thief, who does magic, as in like card tricks and stuff, and like special effects in real time, in order to steal a jewel, but he doesn't know which jewel it is. He just knows that he'll know it when he sees it, and so he just steals every single jewel that exists until he comes to the right one, which he never does. And that's the premise of this show. There's some like, I think if he gets the jewel, it's like magical and it'll like cure his mother of something. I'm not sure. It almost makes sense, but not really. Um, it was a decent little show. That's all I got to say about that. Love After World Domination. This is the one where the Red Power Ranger and the badass evil lady are secretly dating, like right behind the scenes of Power Rangers, and it's fun. It's a fun ride. It's pretty chill. Um, not like super interesting though, which is kind of its weakness. I would have preferred a little bit more spice, but it's good for what it is. Girlfriend, girlfriend. Okay. This show. What can I even say about this show? Kanojo mo Kanojo. This is a trashy romantic comedy about a guy who can't say no and his two girlfriends, and they all try to over communicate with each other, and it's great. Um, that's all I can really say without telling you what happens. Um, it's an admittedly absurd premise, but it actually lands pretty well. Um, there is quite a bit of etchy, but I think it all serves the plot. I don't care to rewatch the show. I'm gonna just say that it serves the plot. It's good. It's fine. Deal with it. Um, Watch the show. If you were disappointed by like Rent a Girlfriend or any of that stuff, this show is like actually good compared to anything else with girlfriend in the title. It's good, but like compared to things that don't have girlfriend in the title, it's like it's kind of mid compared to better shows, but compared to worse shows, it's better. Okay, I think I have till 2 o'clock, and it's like 11:40 now. I've got time. I have time to get through my massive A tier and massive S tier. We'll see. Kuritsu-san from the Monster Development Department. This is the one where um, so our main character Kuritsu-san, she works at the basically the villains of Power Rangers, and they make all of these monsters. Um, and so it's like an escalating slice of life. It's sort of like with Slime 300, where she wants to have a slice of life, but things just keep happening to her. It's kind of like that. Um, and it's just generally, it's a fun show. It's kind of dumb, but like kind of endearing too. Like some of the things that happen, like the situations are dumb, but the characters are all pretty good. Um, the visuals are fantastic, and the comedy is on point. It's a fantastic little show. Fruit of Grisaya, bad, don't watch it. Episode 11 like scarred me for life. Um, it's like Classroom of the Elite, but but even more of a hentai premise. That's all I gotta say about that. Realist Hero. Now, I have seen a couple YouTube videos by this British guy with like 200 subs, and he goes into some of the ways that this show just makes absolutely no sense and compounds dumbness on stupidity. Um, and when you look at the points that he says, I can't really argue with them, but at the same time, I didn't notice when I was watching it, so I enjoyed it, and that's why it's in B tier. I enjoyed Realist Hero because I am a dum dum. All it had to do was look smart, and the things just had to kind of fit together sometimes. Which Classroom of the Elite Season 2 didn't do, but this one did, so that's why it's here. This show, what was the English name of this show? It was like Reincarnated in another world where my bro became the ultimate fantasy knockout. Is this show trans? Maybe. Is this show gay? Probably not. Is it good? Yes, it's great. It's like, yeah. Um, it's an isekai gender bender romantic comedy. If any of those words sound interesting to you and none of them sound particularly negative, you'll enjoy this. If one or more of those is a deal breaker, then you won't. I enjoyed it. I thought it was pretty fun. It doesn't break up into A tier, mostly just because of how the numbers worked out, but it's a pretty solid show. It's good. Cowboy Bebop. Cowboy Bebop was fine. It was a good show. But it felt like things just kind of happened. I know why it's a classic. That's fine. But also it didn't need to be there. Maybe it did. Who knows? Who can really say what the point of Cowboy Bebop is? I guess you're just gonna have to carry that weight. And finally, we get to A tier. At the very bottom of A tier, we have Mashle, which I just finished. Mashle is like if One Punch Man went to Hogwarts. It's a pretty decent little show. Good comedy, good characters, good intrigue. Needs more seasons, but so far it's pretty great. Now I have several Monogataris. How many Monogataris? I have 4 Monogataris here. These these 2 are like side stories or spin-offs, and I'm gonna have to talk about Monogatari later. Okay, I'm gonna have to talk about Monogatari like right now. I haven't actually finished Monogatari. I couldn't really. I started watching the wrong side spin-off thing and got bored and started watching other stuff. There's a whole lot of it, and the order to watch it in is kind of ambiguous, and the sexualization is a little bit sus on occasion. But other than that, it's like, some shows like they try to be intellectual and they come off as pretentious, and other shows just like try to come off as intellectual and they're just that smart. Monogatari is both of those things. It's it feels very pretentious, but then all of the stuff actually makes sense. That's that's Monogatari for you. Um, I don't quite understand the main character, but everyone else is just fantastic. Um, Made in Abyss movie 3. I mentioned this way back when I talked about Made in Abyss season 2, which I thought was kind of the worst Made in Abyss. Just by elimination, it wasn't all that bad. It was just kind of boring. Made in Abyss movie was great. Um, Again, not all of the things that people say about Made in Abyss I quite see, but um, yeah, it is what it is. You really just don't understand until you've watched the show, honestly. The disappearance of Haruhi Suzumiya. Where did I put Haruhi? I put Haruhi up on the next line. It's right there. I'll talk about that a bit more later. I just want to say the movie was excellent, but I watched it in like a bad resolution. I watched it in like 360p, so I didn't get that much out of it. But it was a good movie. Um, it was a good continuation of the story, and the characters all worked pretty well. And I would have cried if I could still cry, which I wish I could. Why can't I cry without cutting onions? That it's not even the same kind of crying, darn it. Oh well. Um, yeah, nobody heard that. Nobody's even watching this. It's fine. I don't care. I'm doing this purely so I have something to clip down later, which I'm never going to do because I don't edit videos. I barely edit thumbnails. Yuki-chan special. This is actually, yeah, no one's watching. Thanks, bro. The Yuki-chan special is like a ninth Endless 8 episode, which is just the ultimate troll. Good job, Yuki-chan team. Excellent work. That's all I gotta say about that. It's fine, whatever. Isekai Uncle. Isekai Uncle came out last year to numerous delays. It was the final couple episodes were delayed by months, and I think most people who were watching it live dropped off at that point. But I always wait till a show is finished before I start it, so that way if I really like it, I can binge it, and if I don't, I can just drop it and pick it back up whenever. So Isekai Oji-san was a pretty good little isekai. I don't have that much more to say about it. Yeah. If you've heard the premise, you'll know whether it's your thing or not. If you haven't, then you won't. Attack on Titan, the final season, part 3, part 1. This is the like double episode special that came out earlier this year or late last year, I think. And it's I think this is the lowest rated Attack on Titan thing I have here. Just because, like, yeah, it needs to happen to finish the story, but, like, who cares anymore? It's post-basement Attack on Titan. Tower of God. Tower of God was really interesting, and there was a ton of absolutely crazy stuff in it. I have heard that the manhwa that it's adapted from has a lot more detail, and this adaptation, people who, like, actually read it felt like it was super rushed. And I can't really argue with that. As for the characters, there were some things I didn't quite get about their motivations and what they were doing. But like, as like a sequential battle royale death game with crazy powers and like tragic character backstories, like it was pretty good. Tower of God gets a single thumbs up. They'll probably never make another season at this point, but oh well. I'm probably never going to read the source material, but maybe I will. Maybe I will. I don't like the like continuously scrolling format of it, but that may change. Who knows? Koreans have great ideas. Anyone can have great ideas. Um, Great Pretender. Great Pretender came out last year. No, wait, no. Several years ago. I was confusing it with High Card, which we'll get to. I think I rated High Card a bit higher than this. Great Pretender was fantastic. Some may say the ending was a little whack, a little over the top, but I think it escalated well. The premise is that they're like international con men who are tricking snobbish rich people out of their money, and that's pretty fun. So yeah, that's all I gotta say about that. I'm the villain. I'm the villainess, so I'm taming the last boss. Um, of the villainess isekais, this was the best one. I'm not sure why I haven't seen the others in this tier list yet, but this was my favorite of them all, I think. Oh wait, no, there. Yeah. I like the villainess. She's a good character. I like the final boss. He's a cool guy. I like the original protagonists who are now antagonists. It works quite well. They do some interesting things with the premise. Yeah, some of the. Sorry. A chopper just flew right over my house. I live. They are coming. They're almost here. They're almost upon us. Run and hide. No, there's a military base like a couple miles back, so it makes sense that that would happen. And it's just a little bit annoying every now and then, though. Yeah, I mean, if you're going to watch a single villainess isekai, this is the one to watch. That's all I gotta say about that. Is this too small, by the way? I can probably increase the scale. There we are. Okay, so here we are. That's better. Spy X Family Part 2. I guess I could talk about all of Spy X Family, which I mentioned earlier, but I'm gonna mention it now. Spy X Family is peak comedy, but it's also like generated from a place of absolute cynicism, and that, like, if someone makes something purely to show the point of like, hey, this is stupid, and you're going to like it anyway, like, I'm not gonna like it at that point. That would just let them win. Like, if the author wants to make fools of us for caring about this story that he put absolutely no effort into, like, that's basically the same as AI posting, right? Like, hey, I generated this thing. I prompted a story. Now give me money. Like, no. It doesn't matter. It's trash. It's amazing trash. But Spy X Family is trash. That's gonna get clipped out of context now. Oh no. Akiba Maid War. This show was good. I think a couple people missed the point when they said that it was. What did they say about it? They said that Akiba Made War was relying on shock value and it lost that. I don't think so. It was it was a deeply like character, and it was like a character story, like critiquing society. Um, Admittedly, like a society that they made up as a parody, but like still interesting. It was an excellent it was an excellent comedic tragedy. Akiba Made War, maybe a tragic comedy. Better than Shakespeare's Tempest, 10 out of 10, which is why it's in low A tier. Shadow's House and Shadow's House second season I put right next to each other because they were of equal quality and basically stand as a whole, as will any future seasons. Shadow's House is pretty good. It's got this like coal punk Victorian vibe to it, which matters a lot to like the actual mystery, and that's good. It's a meticulously crafted setting. There aren't that many characters, so you can kind of get a sense for all of them, and they're all decent people. It's good. It's good to watch them like learning to trust each other and work together and work out the mystery of their own existences. That's that is what it is. That's good, and yeah, that's all I gotta say. Bye bye. Not bye bye. Because now we have to talk about Haruhi. Am I ready to talk about Haruhi? What is there even to say when I talk about Haruhi? The melancholy of Haruhi Suzumiya was at the time of its release an immediate sensation. The ending song became a gigantic meme, which is still riffed on to this day. The characters are perfectly archetyped and totally complement each other mostly. Main girl Haruhi is a bitch, and also she is God, but doesn't know it, and such derives most of the comedy and the drama, because anything she like wants to believe in just like exists and happens, but she can't be she like you can't let her know about it, because if she realizes that she's God, the world might end. So they just have to get into all these wacky hijinks. I worship Haruhi as God. Haruhiism is my religion, and the central tenet of it, as I practice, is that we must defend the status quo and enjoy our time doing it. I think that's all I really have to say about that. The Devil is a part-timer. Wait, where is season 2? I'm sure that I put it on... Oh, wait. No. This is season 2. Okay. Because there's 2 exclamation points. That is stupid. Why did they name it like that? Devil is a Part-Timer season 2 is a sequel to Devil is a Part-Timer that came out like 10 years ago. The premise is that the Demon Lord is about to be defeated by the hero, so he escapes to another world, which happens to be our world, and in order to conquer the world, he gets a job at McDonald's, and hijinks ensue. And it's pretty good. It's a fun little show. Season 2, a lot of people had some problems with, because the art style is a bit different. It's kind of, the things that happen are kind of slow, but I adore the lore. I think that like the world building and the hidden character backstories are going to be excellent when we finally get them revealed, and I am hanging on for that. My Next Life is a Villainess, All Routes Lead to Doom is the name of this show. It is like kind of the original villainess isekai anime. And nothing happens, and like 4 episodes from the end they like panic and they're like, oh wait, things need to happen in a show, don't they? And so they just make a whole bunch of things happen for no reason, and they solve it with the power of they solve it with the power of love and friendship and stuff. The main character is a total idiot, which works most of the time but really doesn't for the drama. Like, it's almost unbelievable how dumb she is, and that took me out of the story. That's all I gotta say about that. um, Go watch the other one where she courts the demon lord, who's the final boss. That one is much better than this one, which is why, of course, their places are reversed in my tier list, because I wasn't basing this on, because when I ranked these, I wasn't ranking them in order. I was ranking them at each as an absolute. Promised Neverland. I had heard good things about this first season when I went into it, and it was indeed pretty good. I do somehow feel that, like, with this and with Shadow's House, that there's, like, aren't they being surveilled more? Like, how do they have time to plot like this? That's like the only thing that took me out. Like, yeah. Mob Psycho 100 Season 3 was not as good as the other 2 seasons of Mob Psycho 100, but it was still pretty good. It was it was a good ending. Mob Psycho 100, if you haven't seen it, it's by the same guy who did One Punch Man, and the emotional highs are higher and the emotional lows are lower. In general, like, the characters are deeper, if a little bit less, like, spastically interesting than One Punch Man's characters. And it actually ends, and it's all been animated, and that's great. Unlike One Punch Man. Which, is One Punch Man still going? Maybe it is. I don't know. I'm not gonna read ahead of One Punch Man. I'm gonna wait till season 3 comes out, because season 2 wasn't all that bad, goddammit. Banished from the hero's party, I decided to live a quiet life in the countryside. That is the premise of this show. That is also the name of this show. And I'm trying to remember what I even thought about this one. Not that it was bad. It was pretty good. Just not the most interesting thing ever. Yeah. The dynamic of the hero and her brother, and oh, that's right, that's how this one ended. I feel like maybe it should have been 2 seasons, because the ending, like, it kind of felt like it came out of nowhere, but it also didn't. It also was like the perfect length, which is weird thing to say, but that is. I mean, when certain things happen in a story that only make sense in relation to each other, you have to just kind of accept that that's how it is. And this show was very much like that. Um, it was good. It was good. I'd say I'd say it was good. I don't remember what I rated it, but it's here in A tier, so that's fine. Log Horizon Season 3 is for some reason much higher than the other seasons of Log Horizon. I'm not sure why I rated it like that. I think it's because I watched it later. Like I watched 2 seasons and then just did other stuff, and I was like, oh hey, there's a third season. Let me watch that. Log Horizon Season 3 was okay. It's just more Log Horizon, except they changed studios, so the character names are different. Like they're translated differently. For me, Season 3 was too boring. Says Villain in chat. Yeah, I could see that. It was. I honestly don't remember anything that happened in any season of Log Horizon anymore. So like, I guess the whole thing was boring. There wasn't too much additional lore, too much. Yeah, I mean politics can work sometimes, um, but when it's all politics and the politics isn't like simple, or like when the politics is oversimplified, um, or just not at all realistic remotely, it does get boring. Like this wasn't politics 101. This was like politics like 102.5, which is a bit of a shame. Log Horizon has such an interesting world. I wish they would just tell us what the deal is with the premise and the isekaiification, um, instead of just keeping on with this politics and gamer stuff. I don't care about the gaming. I don't care about the politicking. Just give me lore. Give me ontology. Give me physics. Combatants will be dispatched. This is from the same author who did Konosuba, which I believe I actually rated a bit higher for some reason. I'm not sure why. I think I liked it when I watched it, and then I just don't remember anything that happened anymore. But yeah, Combatants Will Be Dispatched is kind of fun. It's like the villains from Power Rangers send their top guy to get isekai'd and take over another world. And that's pretty great as a premise. Um, Main character is overly sexual towards all of his female companions, and that gets old very quickly. But the rest of the banter is pretty good. It's an action comedy isekai. Um, that's fine. Dungeon Black Company. This one is actually fantastic, okay? I don't know what the meta was around this show when it was coming out. I don't know if it was a sleeper hit or if just nobody even found it or if everybody watched it and was like, yeah, it was pretty good and then just forgot about it. But I haven't heard it talked about anywhere online, which is weird because it's like a pretty good show. Um, yeah. So here's what happens in this show, Dungeon Black Company. So the main character guy, right? Uh, he has found a get rich quick scheme. Exploded Dragon Goblins, or maybe that might be kind of what happens at one point. So he's this rich asshole. He like found a get rich quick scheme that actually works, and he lives at the top floor of a skyscraper. Then when he gets isekai'd into a world where everything is controlled by these giant mining corporations, and he has to mine with this lizard guy who's his friend, and uh, they basically work their way up um, through this world and have to climb to the top of capitalism. And there's a point where they get like isekai into the future of the world, um, and have to save that world, but they decide that they don't actually want to save it, and so instead they go back. And it's great. It's a really fun watch. Um, That's all I got to say about that. A tier. Moonlit Fantasy. This, yeah. Yeah, the show is called Moonlit Fantasy. It has other names, but that's the one I'm calling it. Moonlit Fantasy was pretty good. That's the one where the character, the main guy, is like ugly, in that like he's drawn with Call of the Night art style when everyone else is drawn with like uh a not that art style. Um, and he becomes quite overpowered quite quickly, and but the main conflict is that he can't integrate with human society, and the only people he can interact with are all of these animal people, and they all look up to him as like kind of their god because he's so overpowered, and so he doesn't have any real friends. And then he makes a real friend, and then the real friend gets killed, and he goes full full berserk, and it gets really dark very quickly right at the end for almost no reason, but I think it works. Um, I hope if the show gets another season, because it could be something. Um, I think it could be something at least as good as Slime. That's my take. This show, if it got more of it, could be as good as Slime. Classroom of the Elite Season 1, I already mentioned earlier with Classroom of the Elite 2 that I thought the first season I didn't notice that it was bad because it was fun to watch, but the second season wasn't as fun to watch, so I did notice that it was bad. Well, this season, the first season, again, it was fun to watch. That's all I gotta say. It was a fun watch. Bye. Welcome to the NHK. This one is crazy. Um, the guy is a shut-in, and Moonlit Fantasy is getting a second season next winter. That's good. I hope you're telling the truth there, because that would be amazing. I hope they do it justice. And by do it justice, I mean I hope that it continues the story and is at least an adequate adaptation. So like One Punch Man season 2 was good. Devil is a Part-Timer season 2 was good. Okay? Alright, yeah. Welcome to the NHK is a story about broken people trying to pick themselves up, but also resist that at every turn. Um, the guy is a shut-in. He sits at his computer doing drugs all day, and it's bad, but at least it is what it is. At least he doesn't have to go outside. You know, that is how it do be. And one day this random girl like comes to him and like tries to get him to improve his life by any means necessary for some reason, and we can't figure out why she's doing it. And that seemed a little unrealistic to me until you actually figure out what her deal is, and it's just like, oh shit, she's as messed up as he is. That's amazing. Which I guess minor spoilers. But yeah, it's like 26 episodes. If you're prepared to get called out and gut punched, Welcome to the NHK is a great show for you. Vinland Saga, first season. I tried watching the second season. I got one episode in. I don't think I can do it at this point. But Vinland Saga season 1 is just peak fiction, and it works well as a standalone. Yeah. It's it is the Viking anime. The characters are great. Thorfinn is a little bitch, and I hate him because he doesn't understand anything that anyone tells him ever. Askeladd is an excellent anti-hero, though. Canute Canute is based. I loved Canute's atheist arc so much. Um, and yeah, okay. Slime. Or that time I got reincarnated as a slime season 2 and season 2 part 2. So for Slime 2, I gotta say, I don't know that it needed to be split here. Like, if they could have made this season 18 episodes instead of two halves of 12, that would have been better for the pacing. Is season 2 worth watching? Wait, for Vinland Saga or for Slime? Vinland Saga, I don't know. I've heard it's good, but it's less interesting. Like if you liked Vinland Saga 1 for the action, um, which I did, probably not. And like for the drama of like seeing when Thorfinn is gonna kill Askeladd, no, I don't think it has that. But if you want to watch Vinland Saga because you like Vinland Saga, like if you're immersed in the Slime season 2, you know what? Yes, I'm gonna say yes, because Slime season 1 is like a fairy tale. It's a little ridiculous how simple everything goes for our main guy. Like everything just goes his way. But Slime season 2 um, starts to introduce consequences and stakes. It doesn't do a perfect job of that, but it does get quite a bit darker, and some crazy, like, world-shaking stuff happens. There's a whole bunch of lore that we stumble through, and that's good. Um, yeah. If you could put up with Slime Season 1, Slime 2, you'll like Slime Season 2. Or you'll at least be glad you watched Slime Season 2 like I was. Um, the pacing of the second half is a little bit drawn out, or no, the pacing of the first half is a little bit drawn out because of the things that they want. Somewhere in there, there's like a spot, like a space of 3 episodes that should have been 1 episode, but other than that, it's pretty balanced. It's pretty good. And when the hype shit does happen, oh, it happens. It's amazing. That's all I gotta say about that. Slime season 1, good. It's okay. I put it next to the other ones because that's how I rated it when I was rating it. I don't know. But that's Slime. Slime 1 you need as a setup to Slime 2. It's a decent little fairy tale. That's all I got. The Genius Prince's Guide to Raising the Nation Out of Debt. This is what Realist Hero wishes it was. This is what Mao Yusha wishes it was. This may even be what yeah, something or other. There's probably a few other shows that have a sort of similar premise that work, that this one actually like delivers on well. The Genius Prince, he's the prince and his father the king is elderly, so he has to like take care of the kingdom. But he has a problem, which is that he is a lazy bones at heart, and he doesn't want to work, and he wants to sell off his kingdom and go live in the countryside as a peasant, because that's just the life he would prefer to live, or live in wealth somewhere, not having to do anything. But he can't just do that because the kingdom is kind of shit, and so in order to make the kingdom worth selling, he has to raise it out of debt. And that is the premise of the show. And in the process, he keeps ending up getting lucky, or his plans, he'll like make these plans that he expects to backfire, and then they actually work. And so he ends up just getting saddled with more responsibility, but also more power, and basically stumbles his way, like he like 125 IQs his way into like global politics, and it's amazing. needs more material. That's the only problem. It's just so short, just 12 episodes, but it does feel like a whole lot of stuff happens in those 12 episodes. Rising of the Shield Hero. I mentioned before how if something is bad but I don't notice, I will enjoy it and I will think it's good. That is what happened with this show. Shield Hero season 2 was so bad that I could barely get through the first episode, but Shield Hero season 1, I couldn't tell that it was bad. It was like there were a couple things like, come on, that's really how you dealt with that? Like when the spirit guy wants to free his slave, and so they duel for it, and the spear guy wins, and so they free the slave, and she's just like, oh yeah, I want to keep being your slave though. Like that, like seriously? Yeah, Shield Hero fell off. The first season was like at least enjoyable though. Like if you can look past the problematic bits and the dumb bits, like there is a really interesting premise there with like the worlds colliding and the cycle of the waves and the RP the like there's some really cool stuff there. And I wish that they went into that, and I wish that the heroes could just make up their gosh darn differences and work as a team like they're supposed to. Like, the revenge plot was over after like 10 episodes, and then they just got back to this really interesting world building thing. Now, why are we fighting Eternal? Why are we doing all of this other stuff that doesn't make any sense? Um, that's what I gotta say about Shield Hero. I could probably ramble for an hour about Shield Hero, but that's all I've really got to say about it. Fell off. Some good ideas in there somewhere, though. Sunny Boy. Sunny Boy is trippy. Sunny Boy is existential. Sunny Boy is incoherent. With the literal definition, it fails to cohere on a couple of important things. The premise is that these kids in their school somehow end up teleported to a pocket dimension, and they float through these interminable worlds, and they're all immortal somehow. And it turns out that this has been happening to people who go to this school every year, and they've all been they've all been kind of marooned in this out of placeness world and transformed into horrors beyond their own comprehension, and they have to just kind of deal with all that. And there's this whole society of of just like time wash students. Sunny Boy, it's actually kind of cool. It works pretty well. It's just there's a couple things like, since they're immortal and they don't age and they can't be killed or anything, there's this thing that comes up towards the end of the story. Yeah. I should. That's not really even the story. It's just the premise. I mean, what the characters actually do, is really the appeal. It's like seeing how they cope with a dumb story happening to them. But one of the ways that they try to cope is by killing themselves. But you can't kill yourself if you're immortal and you're not changing or anything. They're like basically frozen in time. So that becomes a problem. Um, and there's this whole big thing about how there was once this student who tried to kill himself and he couldn't do it. It didn't work. Um, and eventually it turns out that all of these dimensions, like each person, like has a dimension that corresponds exactly to what's in their heart or something like that. Um, the time skips or lack thereof, like the way time works is kind of wonky, but like it's a trip. If you want to like feel existential about stuff and be glad that you're living a normal life, watch Sunny Boy. That's kind of what it is. That's what it's for. The Executioner and Her Way of Life. I am disappointed that this show didn't get very good reception. Um, it was an interesting idea, and there were some really cool world building elements that they put into it. And let's see, what did people rate this? Average score 67%. Most people rated it a 7. That's a shame. I think this show is like an 8. The premise is that in this isekai world, they've had so many people get isekai'd from Japan, and they always have crazy powers. And a long time ago, they destroyed the world. People who were isekai destroyed the world, and to rebuild, there's this evil church that whenever someone gets isekai'd, the executioner will come and kill them, and we follow the executioner. She is our protagonist. However, one person gets isekai that she can't kill, because the girl who's isekai, her power is time. She has time powers, and so whenever she gets killed, there's just like an automatic nervous response that just like reverts time until she wasn't killed anymore. And so they have to find a way to kill her without her catching on. And that's a super interesting premise. There's some like hidden time loop stuff that we don't get to see all of, which is really cool. And I don't know why this didn't do as well. I think maybe there just wasn't quite enough action or something to appeal to the masses. Maybe it was a matter of Yuri bait. Like it felt like Yuri bait, which it kind of was, I guess. That's all I got to say about that, though. Needs another season. Probably won't get one, which is a shame. Attack on Titan Season 2. Attack on Titan. Where are the other Attack on Titans? I don't know where they are. They're somewhere. What I have to say about Attack on Titan, though... Okay, I'll do Attack on Titan Season 1, and then I can move on to Season 2. So, Season 1 of Attack on Titan was... I could barely get through the first 4 episodes. I dropped it after that. And then a year later, I picked it back up and binged the whole series and caught up with it. That's the kind of show Attack on Titan is for me. The first season, the first little setup, I didn't mesh with any of the characters. I knew enough of what the twists were going to be like that the setup just felt painfully slow and obvious and plotting. But it did get interesting. It did deliver. And Season 2 especially, we got some crazy character stuff that I enjoyed very much. I'll talk about Season 3 when we get to it, but generally it was pretty good. Pre-Basement Attack on Titan. Solid thumbs up for the mystery alone from me, and the action doesn't really detract from that, and the characters kind of add. Cautious Hero. This hero is way too cautious. I think that's what that says. Cautious Hero is a fun little show. I'm not sure why it's rated so highly compared to all these other great shows that I've got up here. But I've also got some less great shows up here, so I guess it cancels out. Cautious Hero was fun. I liked the ending of Cautious Hero. and remember how it ended. Yeah, for me it kind of came almost out of the blue, like, well, not like the final like 2 minutes, but like the reveal of the backstories was a little bit, yeah. It to me it felt kind of random, but uh, you know what works for you will work for you. It didn't detract from the story. It Yeah, I could see that. I don't know. I am not able to cry, so if I were to have tried to cry, I wouldn't have noticed. Um, Link Click. This is a Chinese anime, um, and it was interesting to listen to it in Chinese, um, because it sounds different. They have sounds that Japanese doesn't have, and they don't have certain. Wait, do they? I don't know how Chinese works as like a language sound profile, but it's different, and it was different in an interesting way, and the exoticness of the story kind of added to that. Um, the premise of Link Click is these guys can these boys here on the cover, they can jump into photographs, or like one of them jumps in, which is also time travel, and the other can like see what's happening, uh like around the back of the photograph. and and so they have like this little cafe where if you say a secret password, they will, for a small fee, they will take your photograph, and they will take a photograph you have, and they will jump into it and, um, go like destroy your, regrets or whatever. By the way, Solo Leveling is coming out next winter. I don't think I'm gonna watch Solo Leveling. Um, just to be honest, like, uh, I don't know. It's just not quite. From what I've heard, it executes the premise well, but I just don't really care about the premise. Like, leveling is the least interesting part of any of these power systems to me. Um, yeah, sorry, but cool. We'll see how it is. If everybody says it's a good show, I'll try it. Link Click though, it seems like a whole bunch of little vignettes, but eventually they all come back together, and there's like a time jumping villain, which is great. You read the source. For Link Click, sorry, no. So you mean for Solo Leveling? No, I haven't. I don't read any sources. That's not true. I've read ahead in ReZero, but that's it, which we'll get to, when we get to S tier. Um, but that's it. Um, I don't read sources before things come out. If things come out and I like them and I need more, I will read the source, and that has only happened to me once. Um, that's kind of how it is. Yeah, Link Click was good. Um, watch it if you like anything with time paradoxes, or like dealing with, uh, like recent history sort of stuff. So you don't read manga. Yeah, I don't generally read manga or novels. I mostly just watch anime when it comes to it. I don't read because, like, when you read that stuff, you're reading a translation, and just from the ReZero source material, having read that translation, I can say that I would much prefer to read the original Nihongo, because, basically, I know English better than most people who translate things between English and another language know English. Maybe they know the other language better than I could ever hope to. Good for them. But, like, you notice these things. Like, I end up having to translate from, like, translated English too like higher level English in my head. Um, that's why I didn't really talk about Monogatari much, but um, like even just watching the Monogatari anime, it feels like I don't I only get like 60% at most of what's actually there because I can't read Japanese. And they put like all of the English words on the screen too. Yeah, again, official translations are pretty decent, Imo. Decent, you say. Yeah, we'll have to see about that. But like, that's, honestly, me saying I'm not gonna watch, I'm not gonna read stuff because translations sometimes suck is a cope. The actual reason is just because I don't feel like reading. Deal with it. Serial Experiments Lane. Weebs who are into tech love this show. Many people set it as their profile picture and such. Let's all love Lane. I think Mal got hacked recently, and the person just changed all of the text to say "Let's all love Lane." Wonder why in all these animes they're using so much non-popular words. Let's say instead of saying gut, they say intestines. That's actually a really interesting phenomenon. Part of it is that they're translating literally, like the words in Japanese, because like the concepts, the way they divide concepts is different in different languages. Part of that is just because like they have one word that means the same thing, but they have like I don't know if let me use an example that I know. So in English, you can say heart, and that means the organ of your body that pumps blood. But it can also like mean like the emotional part of your mind, but it either means the organ or it means like the thought, which people traditionally thought happened in the organ, or like your life force or something is your heart. But also, you could say chest, which means just kind of this area in which your heart rests. So like my chest is beating. But there's also words like breast, which mean more specifically a different part of the chest, but also kind of in the same area. And so in Japanese, you've got shinzo means the heart as in the organ, and mune means chest. So depending on context, mune could get translated as heart or as breast sometimes. Like they should just translate it directly to chest, but nobody's ever going to do that because it wouldn't quite make sense because the way that we use these things is different. Like in Chainsaw Man, he wants to touch Mune, he wants boobs, but also your heart is beating. Mune goes doki doki. It's just a difference in the precise semantics and the distinctions between similar or different words for similar things. And that's part of it. The other part is that just like some things there are words for and some things there aren't words for. So play of words don't get translated properly. Well, they would have to go to extra effort. That's the thing with Monogatari, for example, is that show is like some top tier Japanese apparently, or like the source material is, and the show like has a lot of that in there too. There is a ton of word plays and puns that only work in Japanese that are utterly untranslatable, or that like that are not directly translatable. But what translators will do if they've got the guts is they will try to translate it anyway. They will try to. Why is it's like that? Oh, there it goes. Okay. I wasn't sure why this was highlighted in orange there. It's fine. Yeah, play on words, puns, and such. Sometimes you can like make up a similar one in English, which is what the translations for Monogatari tend to do. But a lot of the times, there's just not, and you just kind of have to deal with that. And that's a thing. Serial Experiments Lain came out in the 90s or something, and it was a take on the basically it's like super prescient about the internet and the nature of parasocial relationships and stuff, like how you're consulting me as if my opinions mean anything, and I see nothing behind those profile pictures, whereas you see me. Lain is that turned up to 12, but also there's a ton of things that happen and it makes no sense and all the terminology is different. It's a really confusing show, but if you get something out of it, you will see. I don't think it deserves all of the hype that it gets, but it's also not that bad either. I don't know if anyone actually hates this show. Most people just like don't understand it, honestly. Faraway Paladin, this is an isekai. Needs more seasons to have any thoughts on, but it's a good start so far. Robotics Notes. This is also in the same series as Steins Gate and came out afterwards. There's a whole bunch of references in it. The show itself is a pretty decent little show. There's these high schoolers, and they're trying to build a robot. They're trying to build a giant robot because they're Gundam fans, and the problem is that giant robots don't work in real life. Who would have thought? But then some stuff happens. They also compete in this BattleBot tournament, and there's this mystery with this scientist who predicted the end of the world due to a solar flare and then went missing, and he secretly planted that conspiracy theory on purpose when he went missing to try and use the black hole that CERN has to end the world or something. And there's a mecha fight at the end, and it's pretty good. Watch Robotics Notes, maybe, like if you want to. That's what I gotta say about that. Overlord 3, Overlord 2, Overlord 1. Solar flare is real, as always happened. Yeah, but sometimes they're big, and maybe there's a thing, maybe, I don't know. Whether or not something is real, it can be made into an anime plot point, okay? That's how this things work. My thoughts on Overlord are that it's a good show, but there is so much that happens. There are so many things in the show, but also not enough happens. So, like, there are 4 seasons of Overlord right now. If you were to shuffle around the pacing a bit, you could squeeze it all into 3 seasons, and they would each be quite a bit better. Still pretty good, though. Overlord is just a promo for the novel. Yeah, I could believe that. But I'm not gonna read the novel because are there pictures? There's not as many pictures. I like my pictures. I like my visual design. I like the semblance of fighting, even if the guy just stands there and casts spells and everything bounces off of him. Not literally, but it's pretty weird. Yeah. Okay. My life as a mob in an Otome game. This is the one where this guy is reincarnated into the wacky world of this stupid game that his sister used to play, or that his sister made him play because she was a stuck-up prick. This one, yes, this one is peak comedy, or rather, it's up there. I'm not sure peak comedy is the right word. Villainous Tameth the Final Boss goes a bit further with the premise than My Life as a Mob, but My Life as a Mob might win on the character front. I rated it. It looks like it's rated a bunch higher, but these are all A tier. So, speaking of which, I'm almost to the top of A tier. Excited? I'm excited. I get to talk about One Punch Man, which is the clickbait thumbnail I used for this video. One Punch Man was a great show. One Punch Man 2 was a worthy successor to One Punch Man 1. The animation was decent. It was not bad. I didn't even notice that the animation was any worse the first time the second time, the third time, I watched One Punch Man 2. I have watched this show 3 times, and never once have I seen a single frame that I went, oh, they did this better in season 1. No, it's completely fine. At a minimum, it's like from 100% to a 90% in terms of animation. Pacing, One Punch Man season 2 does get a little bit slow because Saitama is like trapped in a tournament arc style. No, it didn't. It straight up didn't. It's exactly the same. What are you even talking about? You probably thought Chainsaw Man was bad. You probably thought Chainsaw Man was like too much CG. Okay, no, the animation was still, yes, the animation was still okay. It was fine. I don't understand what you mean by the art style got worse. Yeah, Chainsaw. We haven't got to Chain. I think I put Chainsaw Man up in S tier somewhere. I don't even. Here's One Punch. Yeah, One Punch Man, everybody agrees is fantastic. One Punch Man season 2, people seem to hate on way too much. I can understand not liking it as much, which is why it's lower in the tier list, but not putting it way down, which is why it's way up here. Another CD, CG. Variable machine parts. I don't know what you mean by machine parts in quotes there, villain, in chat, but yeah. Like, if you noticed things that you didn't like and you didn't like them, that's fine. But I didn't notice them and I liked it, and there was nothing. There is no objective criticism I've seen that would actually take away from my enjoyment of it. I'll leave it at that. Cool. Yeah, it's okay to be invested in things. I'm invested in saying this show is good, mostly out of contrarianism at this point, but also because I just don't understand. But I don't really want to understand, so let's leave it at that. That's fine. Neon Genesis Evangelion. This is the kind of show that you have to be the right mental state for, otherwise it'll just slide right off you. And it'll leave a trail of slime. Neon Genesis Evangelion came to me at about the right time. It's that sort of thing where, like, once you've seen it, it's everywhere. Like, my ringtone is Evangelion. I'm not even joking. I don't even... Like, it just is. I'm not gonna let my phone ring because then the stream would break, but, yeah, suffice to say, it's kind of unavoidable. I will say, I have seen the end of Evangelion. I have not seen the rebuilds, and I don't really intend to. As far as I'm concerned, the original series should stand on its own. It's fine, it's deep, it's emotional. The one thing that I don't get, the one thing that I didn't get, and I keep not getting, is, I guess, spoilers, if that means anything, which it really doesn't, because none of the things that happen make enough sense to put them in context anyway. Anyway, is that, there's a bit where Asuka is, like, deeply depressed and suicidal, and she, like, voices aloud, like, oh, I hate myself. Nobody will admit that. I knew a girl who was like that, and I told her, do you think maybe you just hate yourself? And she blocked me. I jest, but that it did actually happen, and I don't really want to make light of that. But yeah, I just thought some of the like moments that I thought some of the character moments were a bit rushed, but they did all need to happen, and they fit together, and that was what it needed to do, so it's fine. Evangelion is crazy, and it's a must-watch just so you know what's going on whenever people reference it, which is all the time. Every day there is an Evangelion reference. Mushoku Tensei Part 2. How is this higher than Mushoku Tensei Part 1? I liked it more, maybe because more things happened, but also less because the ending. Mushoku Tensei is being hyped up, and it should not be. Mushoku Tensei is being dunked on because the main character is a pervert, and it shouldn't be dunked on for that reason. The whole point is that these characters are supposed to grow out of this, that they're supposed to become better people, especially our main boy. I have heard from 4chan that this does not happen, that there is a thing that happens much later on that proves that he has not changed. And I am not going to be watching another season if it comes out. Wait. It's coming out right now. I might watch it just because I have to, but, like, I don't have any interest in this show. It's oof. It's as in 10 years, all of the AniTubers are going to look back on Mushoku Tensei and be like, why did we defend this thing? I don't think the pedo shit is gonna be what does it in. Ultimately, I think it's just the lack of character growth. Like, it's okay for your main character to be a shitty person at the beginning. The problem is when you base the whole story on them not being a shitty character by the end, and then they keep doing the same things. That's the problem. This show has a very long name. In fact, if I actually go to the list of... wait. If you actually go to the list of all of the shows that I have, you will find that this show has the longest name out of any of them. Demon King Academy was great. Demon King Academy Season 1 was excellent. They even solved racism. Because there was one guy who was controlling everyone to be racist. And it works because he's, like, basically a god. I laugh, but it does actually work. It works well. The second season is supposed to be coming out. There's 6 episodes out, but it seems delayed. I'm gonna watch it once it finishes. People have been saying that the new season isn't as good. Maybe that's why it's getting delayed. Let's hope it is good, though. I want it to be good. Because the first season was good. I like this character. I like the world. I thought the twist with the Sword Bro was an excellent twist for a Sword Bro to have. Gets a thumbs up from me. That's all I gotta say about that show. Did you really think that freezing time would be enough to stop me? Did you really think killing me would make me die? Hope you only put Death Note rank A for bad ending. We'll get to it. Actually, no, I'll get to it now. What are my thoughts on Death Note? There are many shows... Okay, so... Death Note... the beginning of Death Note is a masterpiece. Should be in F tier. You think Death Note should go in F tier? Wait, or Demon King Academy. I'm not moving Demon King Academy, well, because this tier list is static. I can't actually move it. They don't move. This is just generated from my Annie list. But Demon King Academy should be F. Are you the person who said Licorice Recoil was good? You're the person who said Licorice Recoil was good. So I don't trust your opinion, bro. Yes, it was goated. We're having like a little war in chat here. I guess I'll talk about Death Note though. I'll jump ahead a little bit. Death Note is beginning of Death Note was absolute fire, just premium logic. Once Misa showed up, Death Note kind of it turned into kind of a crazy story. Like things started just happening. Um, the Amnesia arc was good. Like it was interesting seeing these characters work together and store instead of like apart from each other. And then the ending, like the final arc after the time skip, I enjoyed. It was fun. Um, because it feels like it just goes off the rails in an interesting way. I wish Elle had been there to see it though. That's all I gotta say. I hope everybody's seen Death Note. But yeah, Death Note, high A tier, should not. I don't know. I've heard that the manga did it better. I'm not gonna check, of course, but it is what it is. I don't know. I don't hold a show to so high of a standard that I refuse to accept anything else that happens in it. Wait, do I? Maybe that's. Yeah, no. Things can start out good and end up bad. Things can end up okay. Things can start kind of dumb, but then get really, really good. That's a thing that can happen. Same as just. Yeah, I could see that. I could see that they wanted to continue it. Um, all the same, the direction they went with it was interesting enough. It was things kept happening. Also, Death Note was the first anime I watched, so my opinion may be biased. Just a minor warning there. Don't take anything I say too seriously. Iruma-kun. Um, Iruma-kun is like Harry Potter if it were good. Um, it might technically be isekai, but it transcends that label. Iruma-kun, if you haven't seen it, go watch the first 2 seasons. Maybe watch the third season, but only if you're like dead in the hospital or something, because it's kind of slow. It's good, but kind of slow. First 2 seasons. First season is pretty good. Like it's 26 episodes, but it goes by quick. It's a comedy. There's some character drama. There's some action. He's got a secret that he can't tell anyone, just based on the premise. Which, yeah. Second season has a very very hype arc, where he becomes Iruma-kun is like this good little kid. He's just the nicest little boy, and then he becomes evil for like one arc in season 2, and it is the most amazing thing ever. They tease it at the end of season 1. I was like, oh my gosh, I have to see season 2 now because that is so cool. And then there's another arc that happens first. It's like, okay, this was pretty good. I want to see him turn evil, and then he turns evil, and it's the best thing ever. You have to watch this show. That's all I gotta say about Iruma-kun. Hype. Utter hype, especially season 2. Season 3 also exists. I hope it wasn't bad enough that they still do a season 4, but it was a little bit worse by some metrics. Konosuba. I remember enjoying Konosuba like passively. I don't remember what actually happened in it much at all. I think there was like a ancient mechanical spider called Destroyer, which the author also put in his other thing, which is this one. He seems to like Destroyer spiders. That's like his calling card. Yeah, Konosuba, if you're into isekai, if you want to see like comedic leaning into and subversion of tropes, it's that. It's good, I guess. If I could drag these things around, I would put it lower. Not that much lower though. It's still pretty good. Low A tier. Parasite the Maxim. Parasite the Maxim is absolutely insane. This was one of the first anime I watched after Death Note. It's very good. If you haven't seen Parasite the Maxim, you absolutely need to check it out. There are these parasites that come to Earth, these alien parasites, and they try to take over humans by inhabiting their heads and wearing them like meat puppets and eating people. But our main character, the parasite, doesn't make it to his head because he wraps a headphone cord around his arm, and so it just is stuck in his hand. And so he just has this parasite guy in his hand, and they have to like learn to live as a team. Well, one of them is an alien parasite, and the other is a human trying to go about his day. Um, and there's a bunch of other stuff that happens with other parasites and politics and stuff. The ending and the final arc feel kind of abrupt. Like, seriously, there was like this one like mega parasite monster, and after they defeat him, there's like, oh yeah, all the parasites are just gone now and the world is back to normal. Like, what? That doesn't make sense. There would be gajillions level of bugs every day, especially software. Bro, what are you even talking about? Go watch this show. Go watch Parasite the Maxim. That's Parasite with a Y, not to be confused with the Korean film that came out. I don't know what the order of things was, but yeah. Parasite, Parasyte. If you haven't seen any other anime, watch Parasite, the Maxim. It's a great show. Drama, misunderstanding, romance. There's a point where the main character almost dies and gets a glow up. It's good. Ascendance of a Bookworm, third and second, or that's first season. Where did the second season go? I don't know. Ascendance of Bookworm, I have no idea why I rated it so highly. It was boring. The world building could have been interesting, but they just keep not going anywhere with it, and I'm disappointed. I dropped the third season. Yeah. The Devil is a Part-Timer. Good show. It's the evil demon lord is, or not, minor spoilers, he's not a bad person. He's just the bad guy. Is on the verge of defeat, and he escapes to our world and starts working at McDonald's, and hijinks ensue. It's a good little show. Yeah. I like the. Well, I hate the character, but I like the challenge of the KFC angel, because there's a KFC across the street from the McDonald's, and an angel from heaven who wants to defeat the devil works at the KFC. And that's a thing that happens. To Your Eternity. Excuse me. To Your Eternity is really good. To Your Eternity is the kind of show where Tearfest. Yeah. Man, I wish I could cry. But it's good. Wait, it's all about making the viewers cry? You think? I mean, I guess, yeah, like, it was... It works well. There's something compelling there. Still loved it. Yeah. Yeah, I loved it too. It was good. Now, we'll get to it later. No, I'll get to it now. To Your Eternity Season 2. I rated To Your Eternity 2 higher. I rated it in lowish S tier. I actually liked it more than Season 1. The pacing was a little bit slower. Like, the second half of the season is all just preparing for the final battle, and then it finally happens and it's hype. But, like, it's good. To Your Eternity Season 2. I think maybe the reason that it works so well um, is that we already have True Eternity Season 1 to look back on. And this was like kind of a self-contained story. But Season 2, it takes the world, it takes the premise, takes a couple recurring characters, and it really follows up with the mystery and with what's going on. Yeah. Also, the bear. The bear is the best character. The spiky bear with all the spikes in him. I love the bear. Bear bro. Death Note. I already talked about Death Note a bit recently. It's good, especially in the beginning. I do have to say though, I would not want the final arc to not be canon anymore, purely because of Mikami. Mikami is the best character. Delete, 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 delete. Delete, 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 delete. Yeah, that's my thought on Death Note. Keep delete man in. We gotta delete, 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 delete. Code Geass. There is a way of pronouncing this, and I have not worked out what it is. Code Geass. Hangyaki. Wait, really? It's Hangyaki? Yeah, okay, I guess that's what Rebellion is. Right. Code Geass Season 1 was a perfect anime. Code Geass Season 2 had a perfect ending. Code Geass Season 2 did get a bit dumb with the like, oh, my robot is bigger than your robot. Well, my ship is bigger than your ship. Well, my powers actually work this time. Well, my magic powers work better this. Like, it does get a little bit dumb like that. However, there is one specific complaint that people make against Code Geass Season 2, which is that the characters' motivations change on a whim. That there's not enough time or not enough setup for these people to change their ideologies, and they act inconsistent. There's two specific things here, or there's two specific instances of this that I want to talk about. Yeah, I guess I'll talk about it. Code Geass came out in 2006. How have you not seen it if you haven't? Also, I won't say what happens at the very end, but because that's still like the best ending in all of anime, probably. The problem, there's two character motivation changes that people complain about in Code Geass Season 2 that I don't like the discourse on. One of them is Suzaku, because Suzaku's whole theme through all of Season 1 and most of Season 2 was that the ends don't justify the means, and so he's going to work to change the system from the inside. And that keeps not working for him. Every single episode that he appears in, it doesn't work for him even more. In fact, it stops working for him so badly that finally, the last little bit of Season 2, he decides that, you know what, fuck this. The ends don't justify the means, but if I only use good means, my ends will never happen, so I may as well just do whatever. I think that arc makes sense. I have had times where I was living for a very specific logical principle, and it took me losing everything to give up on it. And then I did give up on it, because how are you supposed to not give up on it when it fails you like that? So Suzaku's arc makes a whole lot of sense to me. I like it. I think it works well for him. Maybe they could have conveyed it a little bit better, but it's good. It's really good. Suzaku is a solid character, and the things that he does make sense. The other person they complain about is Lelouch's relationship with Rollo. Um, Rollo is Lelouch's fake brother, whom he gaslights into working with him, despite the fact that he is an enemy spy. And eventually, Rollo helps Lelouch escape from a thing, but overexerts himself and is dying in the process. Now, earlier that episode, Lelouch had told Rollo, like, lashed out at Rollo, like, I don't care about you, I hate you, you took my sister away from me and inserted yourself in her place, and I can never forgive you for that. You're a fake brother, and I hate you. But then Rollo helps him escape anyway, and Lelouch is like, oh my god, Rollo, I love you so much, man. Don't die now. I need you. I love you, bro. And people complain about that, and people say that, like, Lelouch's motivations on Rollo are flip-flopping. This is a thing that people say about Lelouch, that his relationship with Rollo doesn't make sense, that he would have had to have been lying one time for it to make any sense. And maybe he was lying. I don't think so, though. I think you can, and I've experienced this, you can hate someone. You see, I don't think so. I think Lelouch, if Lelouch were manipulating him until the end, he wouldn't have lashed out earlier. Maybe he did that to lash out, or maybe he did that to manipulate him, like don't you want to earn my love, bro? But I think it's possible to feel both ways about a person simultaneously. I know I have. Like, you really just, you need someone, and you want to have a good relationship with them, but also you feel like they've done something terrible to you and you can't forgive them for that, but you really want to, but you're just really mad at them anyway. And like when you're in like kind of a what do you call it when something is about to fall over, like vulnerable to gravity, when you're in an unstable emotional state like that, the things that you say to that person could flip-flop a lot. Yeah, that's what happened here. I missed when you said that, so I didn't. Yeah. No. Maybe a little bit. I don't think Lelouch wasn't genuine. I think Lelouch was at least being genuine. Maybe he was playing it up, but I see no reason that he couldn't believe both of those things. He does love Rollo, and he also resents Rollo, and he's also using Rollo, and so everything he does is going to be filtered through all of those things. And that's fine. Rollo was certainly interesting. Again, I think it works. I believe he's such a mastermind, there's no way he would like it, actually. I mean, I don't know, man. It's been years since I saw this show. This is just what I think. That's a cope. No. I don't know. I do know, but I don't understand what you're saying, so I'm just going to move on. We can agree to disagree on this one, too. Erased. Why is Erased higher than Code Geass? Why is Erased higher than Demon King Academy? It's because I didn't rate these things in comparison to each other. I rated them each as an absolute in a vacuum, and then compiled them all together by computer, and that's why they're like this. But let's actually do this. Why is Mitama? You mean this one? We'll get to it in just a little bit. We'll get to it in a little. Like, it is because the way I rate things is inconsistent, but also I've got genuine reasons for putting this show so highly. Maybe I gotta talk about Erased first, so bear with me, or don't. You can leave. I don't care. I mean, I do care. I long for attention, but but yeah. So Erased was good. Um, the premise was very, very dark, and they almost, they came close a few times to kind of lampshading or they came close a few times to getting too close to the subject, but they made it work, and the only thing I can really say about Erased that people have a problem with is the ending. Um, I'm not sure what exactly the problem with the Erased ending is. To hear the YouTubers talk about it, you'd think that this ending was like, oh yeah, Japan just gets nuked and they all die level of cop out and dumb. But that's not what happens. I I mean, I was a little bit like, honestly though, no. I was glad that Erase ending wasn't cliche. I was glad she wasn't waiting for him and didn't marry him or anything. I was glad that he had to suffer through rehab. I was glad that even though they hadn't caught the main bad guy, he was like in the orbit and they were able to get him anyway. I was it felt really realistic. Like, as like, yeah, if you're in a coma for 20 years, this is what happens to all of your friends when they grow up. The race ending was hated because it was different from the source material. Okay, so people are just mean. Got it. Well, I don't like this since I only watched the end. Say exactly, right? It's fine. It's fine. Like, it works for the anime. Maybe the source ending was better, but oh well. You know, we're never gonna know unless we actually read the source, which I'm not going to do. That's all I gotta say about Erased. Solid. Dead Mount Death Play. This came out last season. I just finished it a couple days ago, and I really enjoyed it. It's sort of the premise of Devil as a part-timer, but with more skeletons and ghosts and assassins. Um, the show is really fun. It kind of ends on a cliffhanger, like right before the final battle. So there is another season coming out in I think they said October. So let's look forward to that. Dead Mount Death Play was a very good show. It was fun. No one's truly evil in it. I mean, everyone is a little bit bad, but all in interesting ways that work. And now it is time to talk about doing God's work in a godless world. I am. Yes. It's coming. It's coming. You know it's coming. God's work in a godless world. Kamikatsu. This show is a treat, man. This show was fun. This was so fun to watch. All of the things that happened in it were amazing. It is a genuine masterpiece. I am smiling because I am being somewhat facetious. I am aware that the things I am saying are likely to be interpreted ironic, but I love it. I love it so much. The tractor scene. That was only in like one ending though. Like, that was memed on to death, but I didn't even notice it when it happened in the show. Also, the strange beasts are much more janky looking than the tractor. No, this show, let me tell you, everything, all of the shortcuts they take work so well. The kaiju being like low poly 3D CG on a 2D world with like pastel watercolor backgrounds. It works so well because if you actually like watch the show and find out what the twist is of the setting, they're not supposed to fit into the world. They're supposed to be bizarre and strange and unusual. And the CG captures that perfectly. Every time a mystery is revealed, it makes more sense. That is what that is what shows with mysterious premises should be. The orange hair guy who's driving the tractor in that infamous tractor scene is bad. What's the twist they gave up halfway? Well, there's the one twist, um, which is that the empire, like the emperor, is dead, and it's all being the entire world is being controlled by machines. Um, what qualifies as that? Oh yeah, I guess another part of the twist is that the world is Earth in the far future after like nuclear war wiped everything out because of religion. And so the empire that rose after the apocalypse decided we're just not going to have any religion or like human variation anymore because those things only bring pain and suffering. Um but yeah, it turns into cult wars, and they have to like battle against a sex cult, and it's it is so hilarious. Um, I can understand why it might not be for you. It's not for everyone, but I think it was made specifically for me, and I pray to whoever made this show. I bless the rains down in Africa. This is so good. I'm laughing because I know that it's going to be taken as a joke, but I do genuinely believe that this show was pretty good, and most of the things that people were clowning on it for actually work in its favor if you think about it in a specific way. Oshinoko. Oshinoko was pretty good. Honestly, I probably shouldn't have rated it this high. On the other hand, um, it was just pretty good. Needs more seasons, but you know, it was so hyped that I think I'll get them. Kaguya author is goaded. Um, and that's all I got to say about Oshinoko. We're gonna have to see where it goes, but so far, pretty good manipulation, pretty good stepping up of stakes and drama, and the music isn't notably bad, unlike Ya Boy Kongming, which I didn't mention a long time ago when I got to that show. But basically, that show they only had like two songs and then played the other one at the very end. So Oshinoko goes places. Yeah, exactly. I'll wait for it to go those places and it'll be great. Monogatari, Bakemonogatari in second season. Um, I've mentioned Monogatari a few times before, but I guess now we can actually get into it more, I guess. What is there even to say? Monogatari is like... It's the most... This looks pretentious, but is actually deep that there could possibly be, while still having the premise. Um, there's vampire... It's... Well, there's one thing that kind of... It's a fever dream. I don't know about that. I mean, kind of, yeah, maybe. Monogatari. I'm trying to work out how fever dream would be the right way to describe it. I don't know though. Like, it kind of almost makes sense sometimes. I think it makes increasing sense as the gaps in the backstories get filled out by things that happen and flashbacks. I mean, like, I'm not that much smarter than the average human. How did I not understand? Like, by one, I'm not that much smarter than the average human. How is it that I understand Monogatari and you don't? I don't understand what there is to be confused by. This is simply a world in which Shinto is the correct religion, but also Western style vampires exist and are repelled by holy water, which is a Christian thing, which means that Christianity also exists and is correct, which also doesn't make any sense because it contradicts with Shinto. But other than that, Monogatari is fine. It works great. It's like Chesterton level Japanese. You do to understand. It just feels like a fever dream. Okay, see, there you go. People say they don't understand Monogatari. Do people who say they don't understand Monogatari, are they actually just memeing? Like, does everyone understand this, or not? Okay, I don't know, but what I do know, is that Shinobu is best girl. High Card. High Card came out a couple seasons ago, I think, and I give it a very solid. Oh crap! I have somewhere to be at 2 o'clock, and it's like almost 1:30, so I need to get through the rest of these a little bit quicker. But there are some blocks of seasons, so that'll be fine. All right. Let's go. Let's do this. High Card was good. If you've ever seen the Kingsman movie, where they're like secret agents, High Card is that, but with randomized superpowers. It's absolute. It's if you think Monogatari is a fever dream, you need to see High Card. It is. It's a fever dream in a completely different way, but still absolutely insane. The things that happen, the powers, the characters are great, and the plot basically makes sense, and there are some good comedic moments. I'd say High Card is excellent. You should definitely watch it, probably. Higurashi and Higurashi Kai. These are basically just the first and second season of the same show, similarly to Code Geass. It's one show where there's a tone shift halfway through, so they split it up. This is a time loop murder mystery, Oops All Yandere's Harem. If you haven't seen Higurashi, it is an absolute, it is an absolutely brutal trip. You will sigh at the things that keep happening over and over because it's a time loop. You will cry because of the links that characters go to because they believe that they have to. You might laugh at a few of the hijinks. And there was one arc in particular, or there's two arcs that are following the same stuff. Watched it back in 2017, and it was too early for me. Oh yeah, you weren't deep in enough to anime to get Higurashi. Yeah, I don't know. Like, if you want to give it another shot, don't watch the remake. I've heard the remake is less good. The original, though, there's a certain arc where we're following this one girl is the villain, and then we actually follow her throughout, or we follow someone else throughout, that puts a completely different spin on our understanding of what happens in that same particular instance of the time loop, and it's intense. It finally, the ending is good. The mystery is basically mostly wrapped up in a satisfactory way, and It's good. Higurashi is a good show. To Your Eternity Season 2, I already talked about. I liked it a little bit better than Season 1, or at least as good as. I'm curious to see what Season 3 will bring, since it's confirmed. I am Atomic. Eminence in Shadow. I think there's already enough discourse on this that I don't have to say much. It's peak fiction. It is the best isekai. But it does stand on the shoulders of everything which it parodies. I love how much it commits to the bit. It's fantastic. Everything I said about this show, but with production value, that is Eminence in Shadow. Kaguya Ice Queen arc movie. Some places this was shown as a movie. Some place it was aired as 4 episodes. This is lower than the rest of Kaguya up here, which is in like high A and S tier, simply because they dropped Ishigami's subplot randomly. How many animes did you complete at all? Let me see. I don't actually know. Let me go to my AniList profile. 165 anime total. Yeah. Maybe not a ton, but I consider myself a man of culture, at least. Made in Abyss, pretty good. They say there's some sexualization in there. I don't really notice it. It's a very captivating world and story, and 271. You've spent 77 and a half days just on anime. That is impressive. That's a lot, yeah. There's a few shows that I'm just not gonna watch, and I'll get to those in a bit. Bocchi the Rock. Bocchi the Rock was excellent. She Just Like Me for real. I was catching up on Trash Taste, and they mentioned Bocchi the Rock, and somebody said, I think Joey told Connor that he wouldn't like Bocchi the Rock, and I don't understand how Connor wouldn't like Bocchi the Rock. He didn't like 86, so like, surely he's right about stuff. I mean, the reason he didn't like 86 and the reason I didn't like 86 were different, but yeah. Bocchi the Rock was excellent. That's all I gotta say. Watch it, 100%. Chainsaw Man, pretty good. Needs more seasons. I hope they get them. I hope Bocchi didn't steal all Chainsaw Man's thunder. I think I rated these exactly the same, and that's why they're next to each other. But if I could, I would put Bocchi the Rock a little bit higher now than Chainsaw Man. Chainsaw Man, I think everyone was expecting it to be good, and so all it had to be was decent. Recreators had a great opening theme. Play some video games. Da, 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 da. Yeah, it did. It was great. Honestly, Recreators, banger show. Very solid. I do feel like Meteora talked a little bit too much, but hey, I learned Hanashi. I learned the word Hanashi from that. That's cool. I try to learn at least one Japanese word from every anime I watch. I couldn't tell you which word I learned from which show, but I did learn Hanashi from this, and it means to speak, to converse. It's like the more formal version of the word. Yeah, Recreators was solid. There were a couple things that didn't quite make sense. There was a little bit of pacing oof, but it was basically a very good show. Unique premise, good characters. Stuff just happened. The Edatin deities know only peace. This was one that I was kind of afraid to talk about because I don't know what all to say about it. It's hard to talk about this show. If you've seen it, you'll know what I mean. If you haven't seen it, you'll have no idea what I mean. And that's basically the problem. The premise of the show is that there's these gods. They're like spiritual beings that are just formed from latent energy in the air or whatever, and they exist to fight demons, which are these biological giant beasts. And 2,000 years ago or something, or like 500 years ago or whatever, I don't remember. It's a long time ago. A long time ago, all of the Edatin deities, who were super old because they had existed since the beginning of time, defeated the demons and sealed them all within a prison, like an extra-dimensional prison, and used their own lives to power the energy to keep that prison sealed. Now, all of the Edatin that are left over are super young, and they've lived in a world where they don't have any demons to fight, so they just kind of chill. But they're always like training for when the demons will come back, and they're good in the like morally gray sense. Like all they care about is that they're fighting demons. They don't care about human politics or anything. Like if humans want to kill each other, the gods will not interfere with that. All they care about is the demons as an existential threat. That's just the setup. That's like the blurb that you watch. So the blurb that you read before you watch the show. The actual show is an absolute trip. You can probably tell just from the color palette. It's got this super bright art style, but this is rated seinen, and it's, honestly, it would probably be rated M, if it were to be in America, it would be rated M at least, possibly even X. That's how intense it gets, both in terms of gore and in terms of sex. The gods, the good guys, are these pure spiritual beings, and the demons are like intensely biological, and we know exactly how they reproduce. That's all I'm gonna say about that. And they can interbreed with humans, and that's most of where the conflict comes from. This show is absolutely wild. It also ends on a cliffhanger. There's like 11 episodes. I hope it gets another season because it's crazy. No. It's like completely the opposite of comedy. Although, I don't know. It really spoke to me in some way. It's the complete opposite of a lighthearted comedy, and that's partly what gets you about it. But yeah. If you want to feel things that you don't entirely understand or condone, I do recommend you watch this show. It will absolutely transport you away from the current problems you're facing and give you new ones. And I really appreciate it when it did that for me. Mob Psycho 100, this is a OVA occurring between seasons 2 and 3. It was a pretty good OVA. They go to a ryokan. They get trapped on this train. They have to defeat the ghost of the train because they're trapped in a pocket dimension while they're asleep and stuff. Mob Psycho 2 and Mob Psycho 100. I put season 3 a bit lower just because it was a little slow, but Mob Psycho 100 is amazing. It's better than One Punch Man. The comedic timing and the art style changes between shots work super well. It's It's excellent. Mob's journey as a character is profound. I didn't think it was gonna be my thing because I was into One Punch Man, and this is like, oh, so it's knockoff One Punch Man by the same guy. I don't care about psychics, but no, it's like, it's really really good. It that's all I gotta say. It works really good. Madoka Magica. You got to watch Madoka Magica. You simply cannot get along without having some awareness of the things that happen within it. It's crazy, bro. Homura did nothing wrong. Summertime Render. This is like ReZero or Higurashi, kind of. Is this the Magic Girl? There's a whole bunch of magical girl anime with gore that came out after this one, but yes, this was the show that destroyed the genre. Like, you know, in the 90s or whatever, you had Sailor Moon, and then like stuff. Magical girls just got more and more, I don't know, magical girl-y until, and you know, they were starting to swing back in the more gritty direction, and Madoka Magica came out, and you know, just saying, oh, there's gore. The gore is the least of it. There is so much stress and darkness and like emotional emptiness and striving and just failing and misunderstanding and betrayal in this show. It's cathartic. Even if you hear what happens at the end. Even if you've heard that people pray to Madoka, like, words cannot prepare you. It's a good, you should watch it. I've heard that the sequels kind of change some things about the state of discourse, but I'm not gonna watch any of the movies. Just watch the show. It's a good show. Summertime Render. This is like if you took the plot of. This is like if you took the mechanics of ReZero, put them in the plot of Higurashi, in the summer. With maybe a side of Parasite. And the ending of Steins Gate. Maybe, kind of, not really. Not that seeing this will spoil you on Steins Gate or keep Code Geass or anything with an exceptional ending. Summertime Render is great. People who watch anime legally might not be able to see it because it's only on Disney Plus, and Disney already has all of your money anyway. But yeah, just pirate, bro. Just pirate. I'm gonna say it right now. Just pirate. There is no reason not to. If you pay for the anime, do you really think the pennies? Do you really think that's going to translate into anything more for the animators? No, it's not. The industry is fundamentally broken, and no amount of capitulating to it will do any good. That's my political preaching for the day. Id Invaded. I never see the show get talked about, but it is so good. It is, so like, if someone's committed a murder, the police have this device that they can use to dig into your psyche as if it were a pocket dimension. And Id Invaded? Yes. Id Invaded was excellent. I'm glad you've seen it. Somebody else is probably watching this stream, but they're not going to have any idea what's going on. Id Invaded, top tier, genuinely great show. Every revelation, every twist was phenomenal. Tolan Head Guy was best character. Yusha Yamemasu, I'm quitting heroing. This show apparently wasn't that good, but it spoke to me on a fundamental level. It changed my life. I should have a separate tier here for life-changing, because otherwise these life-changing shows, even though they're not so high up, are just here anyway. I rate them higher to make up for the fact that they changed my life, even though objectively they might not be so good. I'm quitting heroing is so the hero is a hero, and he's been heroing for so long, and he decides that he's going to quit and he's going to join the demon side, and he's going to be their logistics guy, and so he does, and he helps them out with a whole bunch of stuff. And then some character shit happens, and it all goes down, and we get some revelations about the state of the world and the history of him as a character, and right at the end, he finally makes a decision, and that decision was a decision that I needed to make as well. And that's about all I can say without directly spoiling what happens. Many of the things that happen are cliche, in a way that's like they're clearly subverting the cliche, but also feeding into it. Like, oh, this person needs to learn the value of planning, but then he actually just needs to learn the value of brute force, that kind of thing. Vivi. Vivi is from the same guy who wrote ReZero. It is a story about this lady Vivi, who is a robot and a singer, and she's the first robot with consciousness, and it follows like the world as she lives through it, and it kind of outlives her, and she has to like cope with the reality of being basically a review sample for a new type of person that just exists now and is like an underclass. And also throughout the whole thing, there's this underlying thread of she has to stop the apocalypse when the AI inevitably becomes Skynet and takes over, because the last scientist sent his assistant robot back in time to get her help because he thought she was the only one who would be able to do anything about it. So it's like a slice of history. Timeline alteration type stuff. Which is almost but not quite a closed loop. Which is good. And that might be a spoiler, but I mean, you would just see it. Anyway, Vivi is pretty good. Probably watch it. Music was in my opinion, my humble opinion, my dumbest opinion. I have 10 minutes to get through the whole rest of this stuff. Steins Gate Zero. Some people say that it was a travesty. It ruined Steins Gate. I don't think so. I mean, I can kind of see where they're coming from, but I still enjoyed it. It's more Steins Gate. If you're not a character analyst, the Steins Gate, the characters are fine. Like Steins Gate Zero. Yeah, I did too, and then I heard all the things that were wrong with it, and I can't really argue against them, so I put it lower. That's the thing. Spy X Family, again, I've given my thoughts. It's a great show, but the cynicism of the author just kind of spoils it for me. Also, Season 2 was boring. Attack on Titan, final season, and Season 3, I have all here right next to each other. This was absolute hype. Attack on Titan is crazy. I neither condone nor condemn the actions of Eren Yeager. Yada yada yada. And he is out of this world. Yeah, sure. Assassin Isekai. I've heard the ending is amazing for Attack on Titan. We'll just have to see now, won't we? Assassin Isekai. The world's finest assassin is reincarnated in another world as an aristocrat. This show was fun. This show was so fun that despite being trash, despite it being written by the same guy who made Redo of Healer, I have to rate it this high. I have to rate it in high A tier. I have to put it right below Ranking of Kings and Odd Taxi. That is how much I enjoyed this trash little show. Assassin Isekai. It did kind of go the harem route, but also, like, I don't know, it kind of worked. I wasn't not disappointed by the harem stuff, but also, yeah, what are you gonna do? There was just so much badassery in spite of that, and it feels like he's not into it because he's into that stuff. He's into it because he needs them all, and if they are all competing for his love, that means they're going to try harder to please him. They're going to do what he wants them to, which is basically the same as what happens in Death Note. It's just that Death Note has even worse female character writing, so you don't notice it. But that's a cope. You're right, it's bad. Ranking of Kings, good. Why is there another season? It ended. We chose the one girl. That's actually right. Wait, in Assassin? I haven't read ahead. Oh yeah, I guess no. She's like two cousins over though, isn't she? It's far awayish. I don't. It doesn't matter, bro. It's fictional anime when incest. it. I don't know. I also don't understand the concept of incest and how it's that bad of a thing because I don't have any relatives. So oof. Freudian slip. I don't know. My opinion of incest is solely based on how it's treated in the story. If it's fine, then it's fine. I don't care, bro. Ranking of Kings, good show. It ended. Why are they making more of it? I think the redemption for the villain was a bit too much grace, but also whatever, it's fine. Art style completely deceptive though. I mean, this goes hard, especially for looking so silly. It goes hard. It really, really does. Odd Taxi. Odd Taxi had a super intricate plot. The twist at the end was so well set up and just completely recontextualizes the entire show. But even before that, just the things that happen and the intrigue is excellent. Odd Taxi is a good show. Don't get caught up in the fact that it looks like furry shit. It is actually a good show. No Game No Life. This one was hella enjoyable and only a couple tiny bits problematic. I don't really have that much to say about it. There was a helicopter going over my head. There is a large military chopper flying over my house. Okay, it's probably mostly gone. Yeah, No Game No Life. Again, on the incest, they weren't actually being inappropriate with each other, so even basically, I don't know, it's fine. I like the chess game where the chess pieces have feelings and they won't move if they're going to get sacrificed. That was excellent. Evangelion, the ending. Dun 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 dun. I have 5 minutes to get to the rest of these shows. The end of Evangelion was good. It was the perfect ending to Evangelion, and it did everything that needed to happen, and it had a great song in it too. Kaguya-sama, season 1 and 2. Season 1 and Season 2. Kaguya was good. It's like Death Note level mind games, romance. Side character romances are all great too. Rooting for my boy Yu. Did Kagi end already? The season 3 ended and there was a movie that got televised in 4 parts. It's not over. Like, apparently we're about halfway through the source material, but it is basically over. At this point, it's just like, took them too long to get together. They kiss at the end of season 3, I'm just gonna say that. And then they do a bit of waffling through the movie to like until they can actually work out and like talk about stuff. If all you care about is the romance timeline of the main couple, just sit through it because season 3 is great, and season 3.5, the movie is pretty good as well. I rated season 3.5 lower because they drop a couple of the side character subplots that I really liked, but oh well. Steins Gate. Steins Gate is fantastic. If you've seen Steins Gate, you know what I mean. If you haven't seen it, then just give it till episode 12. I had a friend who made it 8 episodes, or made it like 5 or 6 episodes. We watched episode 6 together, and he couldn't make it to episode 12. Because, like, can't say anything bad about Steins Gate. Yeah, like, the first half goes slow, but everything that happens in it matters to the second half, so it's fine. It works out. It's good. ReZero. These 3 are ReZero Season 1 and Season 2, and Season 2 Part 2. ReZero changed my life. ReZero changed my life, and that's all there is to it. Side Subaru side story stuff to get animated for ReZero. You've heard they're amazing. Yeah, I don't know if you've seen Echidna's YouTube channel. If you're into ReZero, you probably have. He does like readings / summaries of the side stories. They are pretty good, from what I've seen. Or like no, those are the if stories. I haven't seen much about the side stories. ReZero Season 3 is coming out next year, and that's going to be hype. Again, ReZero is the only thing that I've actually read ahead in, so... yeah, ReZero... trust me, ReZero Season 3 is going to be, like, peak ReZero. Yeah, if stories are fantastic as well. I haven't actually read them, I've only seen summaries, but... yeah. Again, that's like the whole thing with like I would just have to like retranslate them into better English anyway to get the most out of them. And then forget that and then read the translation that I wrote, which wouldn't make any sense. The perils. ReZero, yeah. ReZero changed my life, that's all there is to it. ReZero Season 3 is going to be so hype. You remember Regulus. Regulus gets he gets his fight. I'll just say that. Everything converges and bumps against each other. It was hard to read the arc in the web novel, but like that's because it wasn't an anime. So it's gonna be hype. It's going to be so hype. It's going to be so good. There's a rumor that it's going to be 50 episodes long, but I kind of doubt that, and I hope it's not, because what if it gets delayed? They're never going to finish it at that point. Anyway. It's 2 o'clock, and I think I have to go in a moment, so... I'll see you in the next time. What? I don't know if you have another on your list. Great mystery horror stuff. Another. I have not seen that. I will give it a try. Again, this list was basically everything I've seen except for a couple things that I didn't see fit to chronicle. You two have a great one. Bye. End stream.